Everything, left side of my brain. Everything, left side of my brain. Everything, left side of my brain.
Reactivated, recreated, label me insane. Sniper, rockstar status, call me Snacky Tyler. Riot, ignite a dirty worm, burn rider. And I suffer from the syndrome of the sand spider. I try to tell them, but it seems don't nobody listen. They say I'm vicious with my sickness at this disposition. I'll never be ashamed, label me insane.
Everything but the left side of my brain.
Raw and obtained, still confused on who's who. Psychopathic, big addict, fanatic with some loose screws. Do what the beats they do, I don't know what I'm saying. Damn, man, you crazy. Boy, I ain't playing. Somebody gon' get popped when I'm letting off shots. Letting off shots, letting off shots. Somebody call the cops when I'm letting off shots. Letting off shots till the breast burn hot.
Everything, left side of my brain. Everything, left side of my brain. Everything, left side of my brain. Reactivated, recreated, label me insane.
I'm on some other shit in the present day future. So download it, reboot up, go on and shoot it. They say they never knew us, so something happened to us. Them beats greasy as shit and still raw as sewage. Watch them stomp stupid and start acting foolish. Even the Rubik's Cubes is now jumping to us. And when they throw it up, they be like, who, what? And burn your blocks like bats drop and tear it up. We don't care.
Go on and point 'em out.
Them motherfuckers right there. Yeah. Fuck it, I'ma kill 'em all. Damn, Smack, you crazy.
Yeah, I ain't got it.
Somebody gon' get popped when I'm letting off shots. Letting off shots, letting off shots. Somebody call the cops when I'm letting off shots. Letting off shots, letting off shots. Yeah.
Everything, left side of my brain. Everything, left side of my brain. Everything, left side of my brain. Reactivated, recreated, label me insane.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, girl. Yeah. Letting off shots. Yeah, girl. Yeah. Yeah, girl. Yeah.
Left side of my brain. Everything, left side of my brain.
Stop it.
Left side of my brain. Reactivated, recreated, label
Stop
me insane. Everything, left side of my brain. Everything,
Left side of my brain. Everything. Left side of my brain. Reactivated, recreated, label me insane.
Hey y'all, it is Trent Knox. This is the Austin Live and Local podcast, live from the ATX, Season 2, Episode, boom, let me check, 13. Our guest today is Smackola of the Dirtywormz. This is a part 2 episode from a previous episode that we had with him in the studio. Some of the audio and video was lost from that episode, but now we got a full setup. We're calling in with him, and we're gonna have an awesome conversation about an upcoming show, about the state of hip hop in Austin, the growing population of Austin, and what that means to the future of hip hop. We got a lot of topics to cover, and it's always a great conversation between Smackola and myself. Let's get it started here. We're going to give him a call right now. Hold on. Let's see. All right. Giving him a ring. Hold on. Make sure that we got him on here. Can you hear me, Thomas? Smack. I Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Hold on 1 second. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Do you want to just call my normal phone?
No, I got you now.
Okay.
I was feeding through the wrong channel. Let me fix that.
Cool.
All right. There we go. Perfect. Cool. So how's it going? I mean, I've been anticipating bringing you back on the show. The last episode we had some technical difficulties and we lost the video and portions of the audio.
And we was talking some good shit too.
I know, because once we got in past that 30-minute mark, we were getting into it. Brian had a lot of deep industry subjects to pertain to you, and then we started talking about big things. But yeah, man, how's it going? What's going on?
Oh man, I'm doing good. Just as far as life could be. Woke up to the bad news of Aretha Franklin. Rest in peace to Aretha Franklin.
Oh wow, I hadn't caught that yet.
Yeah, man. She just passed away. So another musical great. That's one of my mom was one of my is my biggest musical inspiration, and Aretha Franklin was the second, and then Michael Jackson.
Was it natural, or was there some sort of anything? Was it natural?
Like a natural death, you mean?
Yes.
Well, she was old and she had been battling with, I think, cancer or something for a while now.
Oh, okay.
So it was something that's been coming,
Yeah, so she was in and out of the hospital. And
yeah, she was just in the hospital a couple of days ago, and then she got out, I think, a day or two ago, which was cool. But I already kind of knew, like I could feel it. Like I think she's out just to be at home with the family when she passes. So, yeah, man, it's one of those things, man. She was for anybody that never really checked out Aretha Franklin or listened to her, like you should really go and peep her as far as just a musician. Like, but there's differences, me and you talk about that all the time. There's rappers and musicians. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people would call me a rapper, but I consider myself a musician because I'm into the production side of it, the musical side, the whole thing. You know what I mean? Not just me rapping.
Yeah.
So it's just different. But yeah, she was a great man. Shout out to her.
So now that she's passed, where does her catalog go? Is she?
I don't know.
Was she working
Hopefully
on
her family owns it. Hopefully.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure they don't own the earlier records, but I don't know. I never really kept up with that as far as. But I mean, there's very fortunate people in the music business that came back and bought their catalogs. You know what I mean? Like a Jay-Z, Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? Like those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely knew about it because those were long battles. Prince. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure if she owned her catalogs or not, or her later music. I'm sure she did with her later music, I'm sure, but I don't know.
What does it take to purchase your catalog back? That seems like a pretty heavy burden.
Yeah, it does. I mean, well, it all depends on your relationship with whoever owns it. You know what I mean? If they're willing to sell it. The person that signs you or the person that owns it, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of them have made so much money back off you that, they'll give it up. Oh, you want to buy your first album back? Okay, $3 million. I think Jay-Z bought his first album back for something like that.
It's wild. I was hearing that I watched Joe Budden on one of his podcasts. He was talking to T-Pain, and somebody was offering him like $6 million for his catalog.
That's fucking low for him. He had like a lot of, especially since he's still in the active stage of performing and making songs. I mean, and this days, back in the days, like a James Brown's days, that probably would have been a lot. But but yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's a little low, I would think, for him.
And I think that we're also talking about The Dream. The Dream was also relatively in the same area, and he was like saying certain things like it was just The Dream's catalog, not necessarily in reference to, the Beyonce albums or other albums that are included in his writing or production, right?
So did he sell it, or are you saying he bought it?
No, I don't think they sold them.
Oh, he sold his catalog.
I don't think the Dream actually sold his
Oh,
catalog.
oh, okay.
I think that he was being offered a similar
Oh,
amount
similar
of money.
deal like T-Pain. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Except it wasn't for him and his collaborations. It was for his particular like
Strictly his catalog.
yeah. And I guess the conversation was like versus hits. T-Pain has the hits, you know, and so $6 million for hits is kind of low.
Yeah, that's pretty low for that. He has a lot of that. So. But sometimes they get you because
We lost you. Let me see what happened here. Let me redial him. Lost you there for a second.
yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, we're here. Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the show. It's what's the date? The 26th?
24th, Friday,
24th.
August 24th. Yeah.
Friday, August 24th.
The Dirty Doomsday show.
Mm-hmm. At Come and Take It Live.
Come and take it live. Yep. All ages. We're doing it like how we came in the game when Dirtywormz, when we first came in the game. We were doing a lot of that all ages over there at the back room. That's actually the old emos that's next door to where we're performing. So that's kind of cool, you know. But yeah,
So when
should
we
be
were
a real,
talking,
should be a real good one.
when we were talking yesterday, we got into it kind of deep, and we were thinking about you've been in the game for 20 years. You got 20 years of experience over.
Well, I've been in the game longer than 20 years, but my first published album came out 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for over 20 years you've been in the game. What has kept you, you know, going? What is that thing that has really pushed you forward or propelled you forward?
I don't know, you know, really when hip hop hit me, I fell in love with it. And it took me a while to actually start making records because I was always the type of dude, like I just wanted to be a part of the squad or the team. So I never was trying to be the guy. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be in the groups. And it was just, I don't know, man, it was just the love of doing the music. You know what I mean? I really, really just like it. You know what I mean? And that's what I just decided I wanted to do. Like I was going to make music, and I just focused all my attention on that, and I didn't really look back at all. And I think when we were talking, I was talking about that. Like sometimes I think about it and I look back and I go, "Woo, that's kind of scary." Like, you know, but just having that fearlessness of really doing it. But I sacrificed a lot to do it, and I don't mean like sacrificing animals or some shit. Like, you know, like how people talk today when they're like, "Oh, you sold your soul, you're sacrificing your soul." No, I mean I sacrificed a lot as far as I could have went out there, went to college, you know. There was good job offers I passed up because if I would have took those jobs, though, I couldn't have did music.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I had to pick, like, okay, you want to get that job, and yeah, you could be driving a Beamer in about 6 months, man. You could be doing real good. You know, it was like, you know, when you're thinking of things like that, and then it was just like, man, but I really want to do this music. And so I was just, you know, I slept on floors, ate ramen noodles. Like if you look early on in my career, I looked a little pudgy. That's because all that ramen noodles, all that fucking saccharin or whatever the fuck is in that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like just from eating that, you know, and just trying to make music and just, you know, so when I look back at all that stuff, it just, I really don't know what it is. All I can attribute to is just the real true passion of being a musician, because you always hear that story with musicians. They're just, we like to be on the road, gone, doing music, and we're lost in the moment when we're doing our music. You know what I mean? It's just like nothing else is greater than that or something. You know what I mean? It's just like that's our thing, you know. So I can't really explain what it was because there was so many things. You know what I mean? It was my mom was a singer, so when I started going on my musical journey, I was trying to impress her. I was trying to make her proud of me. Just seeing me do it, especially when you're young like that, most people are kind of going, no, you need to do something else. That's almost, that's almost an impossible thing to do. It takes a lot of luck and it takes a lot of this, and you're gonna go through a hard time, you know. And but of course I didn't listen, and here I am.
You're different than a lot of hip hop artists, in the fact that you are a true musician. What was the first instrument you picked up and began playing?
The first one I started dabbling with was a piano, and but I just wasn't good at it. I just not to say I wasn't good at it, but my attention, I don't know. I was just into Star Wars and weird shit and Friday the 13th movies and shit, so I couldn't really concentrate. So then I went from that to drums, and I was just messed around. But then it was funny because when I was in high school and I was playing in the marching band, I always played my own beat. So we're we're marching, and the teacher's like, "No, you got to play it like this," and I'm always playing something else that was funky. You know what I mean? And so she would let me do it because it still was on time. It was all these, it was on time. It kept the band on time, and I don't know, people just loved it. So I always was like that. You know what I'm saying? And just dibbled and dabbled, man. And I wanted to be a DJ, and so I just went through a bunch of phases. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And but my one greatest, I would say, thing of doing as a musician is songwriting and being. I was always known for my hooks. Everybody was like coming to me like, "Hey man, make a hook to this." They would always be like, "You just can come out with a hook like it's nothing." So I'd always that's probably my greatest musical thing, I guess. Songwriting.
Mm. Do you still have your first song you ever wrote?
I actually don't, and I wish I did, because back then I had it on like those little cassette tapes.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I sure wish I had it. But one of the first songs I ever wrote was a song called "Ruthless," and I wish I had that. And then I did another song called "Teenage G," and then I had one called "Ticket to the Boneyard" and "Drop It on the One." And I had that "Drop It on the One" for a long time, and then I ended up losing it.
Mm.
But because they were all on cassette tapes, and I'm sure if I look hard enough, I can find one that they're floating around somewhere, you know. But this was way before internet, way before any of that. So yeah, you know what I mean? Like I've been doing this a long time, dude. There was like stages of it, you know what I mean? Where like you're watching hip hop artists and you're like, man, you're trying to emulate them, you know what I mean? Now you're trying to find yourself. Now you're a battle rapper. Now you're, you know what I mean? So, but I just think me having all those elements on early is what really shaped me into doing what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
or to being an actual artist. Like, I didn't just start off being like, oh, I'm gonna be a rapper. I started off being a b-boy. I was a break dancer. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Then I went from that. I tried to do graffiti, but my shit was just whack. You know what I mean? Uh, and then I went from that to being a DJ, and because I wanted to be Jam Master Jay. Everybody wanted to be Jam Master Jay. I wanted to be Jam Master Jay and just scratch behind the rappers and do all that. And then the rappers that were rapping at the time, they just didn't do it right. And I was like, nah, you gotta do it like this, and you gotta say it like this. You gotta face the crowd and be like this. You know what I mean? They just didn't know how to perform on stage. You know what I mean? So then I transitioned from that to performing on in the front and with a group of people, and then it just, by the time everyone kept dropping off, I would say, or realizing this wasn't their true passion or whatever it was, or sometimes life circumstances just changed up things for people where they couldn't do it, you know what I mean? And then there I was just standing out there by myself, and then I just kept going, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So that's a big transition, I guess, from being a supporting artist to being the front man of a band such as the Dirtywormz. Did you go through a lot of different phases before you became the Dirtywormz?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, like I was a DJ, then I became a rapper, and I was rapping with a group, and then I liked being in the group because I only had to concentrate on one verse per
Mm-hmm.
song. You know what I mean? So it was a lot easier. The tension didn't have to be all on you, and I just liked the mechanics of the whole group moving. So by the time um, the record we were speaking of is called Major Players that came out 20 years ago. So that was me and my man Diz Money, and it was crazy because Diz was like this super producer dude, fucking genius, man. He was making beats and shit, and just nobody in our area was really doing that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was getting down with him, and then prior to him, I was in a group called S02 Productions. And it was me and Jermaine Monroe, J Love, and he was like the popular guy in high school. He could rap, he could do all that. So me, I was kind of shy a little bit because I knew I could rap, but I didn't think anybody could think I could rap. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when he heard me, he was like, "No, man, you got it, man." And he was like a senior in high school, so he let me hang around. So I was basically like the showing up at parties, and I was the secret weapon.
Mm.
Like, we'd get in rap battles, and then here I come, and they'd be like, "Yo, this kid right here got all kind of crazy flows, and he's just real sporadic and just, you know what I mean?" So that was my kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
as I moved up, and we did all that from Gangsta 2 Productions to Major Players. As I was working on Major Players, I was in the Army here at Fort Hood, and my son died. So when my son passed, I was like, okay, I need to really do this music full time. So I really just that propelled me because I felt like I had no choice. You know what I mean? Because I felt like an ass. You know what I mean? I felt like, okay, and now if I don't, because I just remember the baby mom yelling at me, "You're always in the studio, and you're never gonna do this and that," and I was around a couple of guys at the time, and we were always at strip clubs and.
Mm-hmm.
But truly, deep down, I was wanting to be in the studio and do it, but I was doing what my friends wanted to do too.
Mm-hmm.
And so during this process, I always be like, "Man, let's take it to the studio. We got all these songs. Let's take it to the studio, to the big, and record this and really get it going and put a record out." Because you got to remember, I was already making records with Major Players. So by the time I was over here in Texas, they were playing with it a little bit. You know what I mean? They weren't really that serious. So
Mm-hmm.
once my son had passed, that's when I was like, okay. And I was in the Army at the time. I was like, okay, I'm getting out the Army, and I'm going to pursue doing music. And so I got out and I started doing it, and I started making a name for myself around here in Austin. And yeah, that's kind of just how it started. And I remember just the show was always my thing. Like if you ask probably other rappers about me or anybody about me that knows me like that, I never claimed to be the best rapper. I was going to be the better show performer. I was trying to embody it all, but I was going to be a stronger stage performer because I knew that I could win people over performing the song live. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that comes from years of being in talent shows when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I understood the talent show and the showmanship aspect of, putting on a show. So that was my strong point. Like I could make a good song, but now I'm gonna take that song and I'm gonna perform it live, bring it to life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how that kind of started. And then by the time, let's see, where would I be at this point? So
Well, back then,
by the time I first got signed,
yeah.
I don't know if you want me to jump that far.
No,
but,
I was gonna say a little bit before that.
okay.
At that time, you were still pressing records and pressing CDs. What was it like getting that grassroots attention? I guess, was this still in the Killeen area?
No, I actually then, Killeen was like my stomping grounds because I was in the military, but it wasn't where I was. Nobody in the military. Well, no, the people that work with me knew I rapped because I rapped all day long. To where they're like, "Chapman, shut the fuck up! What the fuck?" And but they all knew I could rap. And so when I got out and I started I started basically like hooking up with some of the local hip hop guys and just rapping and just kind of, and I hooked up with a guy named DJ Casanova, started making some demos, which we called demos back then. Today, y'all call it SoundCloud. But we called it demos back then. But so I was doing my demos and just kind of pressing up tapes and stuff. And I was working with Wink D and Big Scar, and Diz was still doing some of my beats. So I was really just trying to, you know, you're basically listening to an album and all the beats are different. The album's kind of all over the place because it's not actually an actual album, but you're just getting what you can to put it together for a presentation. But that's what I always understood early on, was the presentation of it all. And so I was putting that together. And then just hitting shows. And really the shows is what got me known. Because let's say I show up to a show and they would say, all right, you have 6 minutes. Y'all have 6 minutes to perform. So what I would do is I would go and I would chop up the 6 minutes. I would do 2 minutes each of each song while everybody else would get out there and do one song. I would do 3 because I would chop it down in twos, you know what I mean? So I'd have 6 minutes. Okay, well, I'm going to do 2 minutes each. And I remember some of the artists getting mad, like, oh, man, he just got out here and did like 3 songs. And did it. But I was doing like a mixtape style, or what I would like to call it, Ice Cube Jackin' for Beats style. You remember that song, Jackin' for Beats?
No.
I don't know if you're probably too young. But the beat just kept constantly changing like every 4 bars. And the beat would just change up. So it gave you the feeling like I was performing longer than I actually was. So I would win the crowd over. Say what?
That's what really sets you apart from the artists that are now in the situation we're talking about today, is that you were already a performing artist.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that was my strong point that I knew I had. I knew me performing was just going to be that because, like I said, again, Aretha Franklin, Michael Jackson was one of mine, James Brown. Like, I'm watching them perform and I'm watching them captivate and I'm watching them do certain things that are like when people would just sit back in awe and look at them. So I remember when I was first performing around here, people were like, but they weren't really jumping up and down when you were out. I said, no, they're taking it in. And people would think I was crazy. They were like, no, I don't know if they were feeling it or not. And then right after we're done performing, then everybody start clapping. They say, oh, wow, they seem to be like just standing there the whole time when you were doing it at first. I was like, I think they're just taking it in because they haven't really seen that. You know, they haven't really seen somebody perform like that. Because usually, you know, just keep it real, Trent. You go to a hip-hop show or some shows in general, you see the performer, whoever's performing, they're kind of just, it looks like they're just trying to get through it. It doesn't look like they rehearsed that. You know what I'm saying? It looks like you just decided to get up there and you're going to do it. They're looking down. See, I didn't have none of that. When I kind of came out here, everybody was still doing the looking down, looking around, had to have 10 people on stage with them because they didn't have the confidence to stand out there on their own. You see what I'm saying? Like, to be a front person or to be solo is hard. Like, when people would talk about DMX, I said, man, DMX is the perfect example. Like, he had no hype man, no nothing. He would just go out there and do it. And it was just him. You know what I mean? Like, that's a skill. You know what I mean? You got to be able to captivate people and to hold their attention. So that's how I kind of got over. But I always was studying the greats. I studied all the people before me and what were they doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I kind of knew. I don't know. It was just kind of natural for me in that way, in that sense. So I was like, I'm not gonna try to be the best, because you know every rapper feels like they're the best rapper. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be the performer that's hard to top, because my show alone is gonna win you over.
Yeah,
my presentation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you said a lot there, and I kind of want to take it back to where you were going with once you got signed and when everything happened. What kind of set you apart and got you to that place was that you were a performing artist that offered more of a production than a lot of the artists that were your comrades or your adversaries in the industry at that time. So then you navigate from being in the military to the Austin music scene, which is the live music capital of the world, and I have to assume that kind of helped in you getting the opportunities to be at the stage of being able to be signed and work towards that.
Yeah, I mean, well, it definitely was one of those things where coming to Austin, knowing it was the live music capital, was like, okay, hell yeah. But it still wasn't just that easy.
Mm-hmm.
The performance part, I have to give that credit to my mom, because when she would perform her shows, and I'm like probably 12, 13 at the time, and she would talk about these things. She'd say, she'd walk in, they're doing little ballrooms and stuff back then, little talent shows or whatever. And her thing was, yeah, bring that in here, bring this over here, bring the piano over here. And they're like, oh, it's just a show. And she's like, her thing was, we need to, all those big concerts you see, we need to throw right here on this little bitty stage. We need to mimic that big ass concert you'll go see some big artist perform, and do your best here. Like, so the lights are important, the fog is important, the production of the piano, which back then those pianos were heavy, like, you know what I'm saying? So when they were up there playing the pianos, those were real pianos, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not like now we can throw a keyboard up real quick and just go, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I understood that. So that was my approach too. So that's where I think I kind of won over a lot of people, because I would watch a lot of stuff and I say, you know what, I'm gonna bring in a big show production to this little bitty stage, and I'm gonna go all out. So all those shows I did in the beginning, I wasn't making any money. I was spending money
Mm-hmm.
to put the show on. And everybody thought I was crazy, like, man, we're trying to make money, man. You're spending money. I'm like, but this is what's gonna create our brand. This is what's gonna create the hysteria of it all. You know what I mean? This is gonna be the thing where people come see it. Even if I wanted it to be to where even if people didn't like my style of music, the one thing they couldn't deny was that, yo, that dude put on a fucking show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that wasn't just some, like, he's serious. He's not. That whole, the lighting cues, the smoke going off, the fucking, just all those little things, they all matter, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I wanted to make sure I was doing. Plus, this was going to be my presentation. And I was always known for that and my intros. And I always concentrate on those, because a lot of people, sometimes they come to your shows and they only have maybe 10 minutes. By the time you come out, they probably have 10 minutes to give you, maybe 5. They'll give you 5 minutes. So I wanted to make sure my 5 minutes of anticipation of even doing it was so big that it would make them want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the group before them, the group before you might be whack as hell. So you've been to shows where probably have some friends that are performing. It's 3 acts in. These 3 acts are just whack as fuck. It's making you tired. So now by the time whoever you're coming to see, you're already tired for that. So I wanted to make sure, all right, so our intro and our introduction of doing it needs to be not just walking on stage, hey guys, how you doing? My name is Smackola. Everybody was doing that out here, like some grassroots ass shit. I didn't even want to be introduced. Mm-hmm. I would tell the guys trying to introduce me, don't introduce me. Just turn the lights all off, turn the stage light on, boom, and just start the shit, and it'll grab everybody's attention. So people weren't really doing that. Mm-hmm. But I come from that era, I guess, of doing that kind of stuff, and that's what kind of helped doing that. You know what I mean? It was just my show. To me, personally, I think that's what really grabbed people, because a lot of people didn't even know who I was. A lot of people that kind of heard of me but never saw it weren't really into it. Was like my fans were kind of, the fans I started building were weird, because they became fans of mine just because I won them over, because of the fact that it was a respect level of, man, you put on a show, I'm not even into rock music. Mm-hmm. Or the rock people would be like, I'm not even into hip hop, but that shit you just did was so big, and your span of music wasn't the same. You didn't get on stage and just do the same song back to back. Basically, you had different sounds, different genres, different everything, and you mixed it all together. Where, and I think that's just where I won them over. I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. People would probably have to tell you what they think, but That's my consensus of it.
Yeah. And then, so your first, were you signed prior to being offered, being signed through Strange Music?
No, I never signed to Strange Music.
No, but before that, were you signed to another label?
I was signed to Roy Jones. Before Roy Jones, I was signed to Pick Up the Pace Productions.
Mm-hmm.
That was with me and a group called Underrated.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a little single, and we were just kind of going around doing shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we weren't even on radio or nothing yet, but people were getting to know us because of our show. Our show was just dope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what was winning us in the door. They were like, "Yo, who's them guys? Underrated in the DOG." I was going by the DOG back then. They were like, "Yeah, bring them in." So we just made it easier. We were two different groups, so we just kind of came together like that because back then everybody's fighting over the slot, and we didn't really have that much material. So hey, y'all got two dope songs. I got two dope ones. Let's do it like this. I would have them out in the front yard. All right, this is how we're gonna do it. Here's the routine. When this beat drops, you go that way, you go this way, and then you'll run back. You know, it's just all this whole routine thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was winning us over. So then I was signed to Pick Up the Pace Productions. That went sour, and that pretty much.
What did they offer you? Like, what was the deal that they offered?
Well, Pick Up the Pace back then, it wasn't anything. It was just like a production deal. So we were hunting for producers and all that, but we didn't even get to that point because it fell apart. Because what started happening was we were doing shows, so we were getting booked. But a lot of the shows, we kept thinking we were just doing promos, but we were actually getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
And we just didn't know it, you know what I mean? But we were so in love with what we were doing, we didn't really care about the business end. Typical musician story, right? And but by the time we got into it with the people, and it kind of just went sour. So it discouraged the other two guys to where they didn't even want to do music really anymore. But me, I was, huh?
Back in that day, did they offer these 360 deals?
Oh, no. This is before the 360 deal even came along.
Mm-hmm.
This is just standard production deal, record deal type stuff. So we were getting a production deal, but we were just in the transit of doing it. So in the transit of doing it, that's when all this shit happened, and it went sour. What? We're getting paid, and we didn't even know it? Like, what? And so it just discouraged these guys, my other two homeboys that were rapping. And that's what landed me in the Army, because I was like, okay, I'm going to go in the Army. I'm going to stack up my money. I'm going to buy my own keyboard, my own 16-track recorder, blah, blah, blah. That's what I was going to do. So that's how that happened. And then once I got out the military, or right when I was getting ready to get out and we were recording Major Players, we did a record deal with Hitworks. That was me and Diz. Did a deal with the studio we were working at. So the studio kind of started a label. It kind of fizzed out.
So that would be like a recording deal, right?
No. They were a recording studio, so they already had a studio. Mm-hmm. Man, shout out to Kendrick Wells. He had a recording studio, and then they were working on a label.
Oh, okay.
So it was just kind of, they were like, hey, we like what y'all are doing. You'll be one of the acts on the label. So we just kind of have him be right place, right time kind of thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we did Major Players. It was still all an independent label, just small. It wasn't nothing major. And then after that is when I started Now. My son died, so now I was like, okay, now I got no choice but to do this, and I'm going to make a record. I'm going to make a solo record. I'm going to show everybody I can do it and, do all that. So I started all my friends that produce beats. I was, gathering the music together and working on that. And then ended up meeting Roy Jones Jr. Well, I got introduced to him to my friend Karen Sarabian, rest in peace. She passed. What I did was, everywhere I would go, from Atlanta, Alabama, Florida, California, wherever, I'd always meet these hot-ass chicks. Mm-hmm. And so, but I would just get to know them and be friends with them. I still do it today. I get to know and be friends with them because these are all the girls that are going to get next to all these people. Mm-hmm. And I knew that, you know what I mean? So I just always remained cool with them. They always thought I was cool. And every time I came out with a new song or something, I would just, put it in the mail and send it to them. She just happened to be playing my record. She was with Roy, and they were at the airport or going to the airport. She was getting a ride to the airport or something. She was playing my music, and I guess he got out the car and he was just like, "Hey, who is that?" "Oh, that's Smackola, blah, blah, blah." Okay. He calls back a couple days later. "Hey, I couldn't find that in the store. Like, is it under something else?" She was like, "Oh, no, it's not a record that's out. That was just what he sent me." He was like, "Oh, well, hey, man, holler at him. I'm starting a record label, and I'd like to talk to him about maybe being on there." Just out the blue like that. He said, give him my number, blah, blah. So that's how all that started. So she called me, gave me the number, blah, blah. And at the time, I was still recording a solo, and I was working at a studio called The Living Room here in Austin. And at this time, I had already racked up, I don't know, it was like $6,000 or $8,000, right? Well, they were still letting me come in there record because I kept telling them, "Man, I'm going to get a deal." You know what you hear rappers do today. "Man, I'm telling you, man, I'm going to get a deal," and blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, they told me, they said, "Well, your music definitely does stand out more than anybody we've heard. And we do believe something will happen." So they kind of were letting me come in there and they would just tally up the tab. You know what I mean?
So that was your first, like, record deal.
Yeah, that was my first major independent record deal. And then, so as I kept tallying up the bill, they finally were like, "Hey, Smack, you know, you gonna be able to take care of this bill, or what's going on?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I'm gonna get signed soon." You know, I had an afro out to here. I just let everything go. I let my beard grow. I was just looking crazy. Like, if you'd have seen me back then, because I was just like, I'm not cutting my hair till I get a record deal. I was on that kind of shit. So when Sarabian called and said, "Hey, Roy Jones wants to meet you, blah, blah," long story short, I ended up going to Florida, meeting with him. And then I come back to Austin. He comes to Austin because I'm getting ready to do a South by Southwest showcase. And he said, "Well, I want to come see it live because I keep hearing that you're dope live." So then he came down to see it. Because even when I was down there in Florida, when I went down there to Florida at one time, I would just pop up in a club and do a show. And so he would hear about it and be like, "Man, I heard you're really dope live, and I've seen videotape, and I want to come see it live myself." So he came to Austin right after he signed me, and the rumors started going around. This is, again, pre-internet. Internet was around at this time, but there was very, you know what I mean? It was like emails and shit. So the rumors started going around, "Oh, Smack got signed by Roy Jones. Oh, he's lying. He's bullshitting. What?" So then Roy and his team came to town. We went around. It was so cool, dude. I got to go to that studio where I racked up that large-ass bill. And it was so funny because I called them. I said, "Hey, man, I need some studio time." They're like, "Yeah, we need to talk about that." I said, "Well, I'll come by there and talk about it." They said, "Yeah." So I come in there, and they're like, "Yeah, we just need to talk about this bill." You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Man," I said, "Oh, Roy Jones." And the guy, I knew the guy that owned it. He was a Roy Jones fan. So I'm totally playing this up, right? I'm doing my whole, like, whatever you want to call it that people say I do. I'm setting them up, basically. And so I'm like, "Yeah, Roy Jones Jr. was coming." They said, "Oh, I heard about that. That's like a rumor, right?" I'm like, "No, he said he was coming in here to pay the bill." And so me and Roy already had it kind of figured out. Roy comes up to the door. He comes walking in. He goes, "Oh, hey, I'm here to pay the bill for a Smackola." And they were just tripping, dude. It was like one of the good moments. It was just that good feeling of like, what the fuck? Just see the look on their face. They were like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I got signed." They were like, "It is true?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Oh, wow." And Roy pulled out a checkbook. He signed it. We sat there. He ordered lunch. We sat there. We ate lunch. They told him stories about me, blah, blah, blah. It was great, dude. It was one of those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we went around, and I did the show that night and blah, blah, blah. And then that's when I officially was, you know, out there. I took him to KZI. That was back when KZI was really, really popping for the local artists because there was nothing else around. There was no other radio station. There was nothing. And so just doing all of that, and that was my first record deal. So actually my record, Verbal Concussion, was the first release on Body Head. So now this record is getting ready to come out in April 2000. So here we are, we're getting ready to drop everything. And then right when we signed the deal with Universal, dude, I swear, like 2 days prior, they decided, oh, hey, well, we're going to go ahead and put a stop to that record, and we're going to concentrate on Roy Jones's Round One record.
Mm.
And so that's when I got my first taste of major label bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And they just put a stop to my dream, like, but back then, it's not like now. Like back then, they had already sent the records out. There were some records already, they were already putting on shelves. So by the time the word got around through faxes, see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Oh, we're not. So some of the record got out. So here I am running around still trying to promote this album. Everybody's looking at it like, oh man, your record didn't do good because you're blah blah. And they didn't understand the business. Like, no, it's because once the label signed us, or Roy's label, he relinquished, unbeknownst to even him, you relinquishing the rights to them to now do what they want. So they decided they'd rather put their money into you than me. You're the big name already. You're a fucking boxing star.
So did you get lucky in that the advance for your record went through Roy?
Yeah, I got real lucky.
Oh, wow.
And what I did was, Roy offered me a bunch of money, but I said, no, you ain't got to give me no money. Just do what you say you're going to do. And he was always a real cool dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I knew I would have to owe that money, you know?
Yeah.
And so basically, it's just kind of like, just imagine you're excited. Your record's finally coming out. You've been sleeping on floors. You've been fucking with some of these scallywag broads you never really wanted to deal with, but you had to because you had to survive. You're eating fucking Whataburger every other day, ramen noodles. And here's your record coming. You got all the haters on you, like, because back then in Austin it was the same thing. Who's gonna blow? Who's gonna be the first to blow up? Who's gonna be? It was all that shit going on. So here's my record getting ready to come out. You know, I had all these joints on it. I had Diz with me. I brought some other guys along. This is when Crash was with me back then. And FYI, me and Crash were already calling ourselves the Dirtywormz then, because so I was already pre-setting that up as I was getting ready to put out the record. Anyway, so.
Oh wait, before you go on that, Dirtywormz came from you calling your kid.
Yeah. My son was my little dirty worm.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like an ode to that, and it was like also dirty from Dirty South, underground like worms because we were underground.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, and since the internet was coming, it was also this virus, like a worm virus.
Mm-hmm.
So it had all these little things to it. So, but just imagine your record's getting ready to drop. You're excited. You're seeing posters. You know, this is the first time I'm seeing big ass posters with my name on it. I'm seeing my name and ads that are about to come out in what was the fucking name of the magazine? Source and all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And right 2 days before the record comes out, they put a stop to it. And the way they say it, they just say it to us like it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. But for me, you know, this was all my dreams. This is everything I've been working for, pushing for. So it kind of just shattered it. But I was still running around to record stores trying to get it in stores. And it had made it into some stores. They couldn't stop all of them because, you know what I mean, it already shipped out.
How many discs do you think they pressed?
I don't even remember, dude. It was a lot. Because I remember being in the warehouse and it was just boxes and boxes. And it was just like, oh, shit, this shit's about to go down.
And they just pulled the plug?
They just pulled the plug. So what they were going to do is let it come out first, and as it gained traction, then they were going to shoot a video. It was going to kind of go backwards like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And so I was willing to take that risk, though, because I didn't care, because I was already a slow build-up artist anyway. Because their thing was like, we just go bow and throw you out there, it might not do good. So why don't we just let the record come out, then we'll put out the ads on you and the source, because as you're going around doing shows, people are like, oh, that's that dude we just saw at that little showcase. You know what I mean? Then the videos and saw that. So anyway, 2 days before they canceled it to start work on Roy's Round One album. And I was so discouraged and distraught that I didn't really make it on that record because I was basically so fucking, I don't know, I was still trying to work my record because I believed that it was so good. I was like, fuck that, I'm still going to try to make my shit work, you know what I mean? And that's when I learned going up against a machine. So I learned a lot in the industry.
You were in your late 20s at this time?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned a lot by going through this process. So that's why I tell a lot of artists things that I tell them today, because I'm like, dude, I actually been through the shit. And I'm telling you, I'll tell somebody when they're like, yeah, I'm going to go against so-and-so. I'm like, you can't go against him. He's backed by this corporation. Or you can't do that because they do this. Oh, so-and-so fell off. He didn't fall off, dude. They just are not putting his record out. Like, imagine I'm hot back then and people thought I fell off like overnight or something. I'm like, I didn't fall off, dude. I mean, I don't own the machine that's going to push this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm still here doing it. But you always hear me talk about that here and there. I talked about it the other day with Nicki Minaj, and they just took her out the machine.
Mm-hmm.
But that machine is generating you a fake love at the same time. It's telling the people, hey, this is hot. Go buy this. This is the new thing. If you ain't got this, you're not cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but one day when they take you out that machine, people will have. I think me and you had this conversation like, oh, 50 fell off. No, 50 Cent didn't fall off. They just took him out the Interscope machine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's still winning over here with Power and all this shit. He could still make records. If you hear some of the records he's still making, you're like, dude, these records are just as good as what he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's not all of a sudden going to be this guy that's going to make whack records now. That's not going to be. But you do see artists go through that when they try to do what's going on and just do you. Don't try to do what they're pushing. Just do you.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So that was the first record deal was with Roy. And we still stayed cool, still cool over all these years because I knew it was an opportunity when I went into it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't gonna miss that opportunity, dude. I mean, he was the light heavyweight champion of the world. I was a fan. We were stoked about it. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next one came with Beeler Brothers, a label that we signed to. This is now Dirtywormz is in now. This is like our second album.
Mm-hmm.
And we were always getting offers, but the only reason we took that Beeler Brothers record one was because we wanted to go on tour. And this is around the same time that Tech was wanting to sign us and all this stuff. And we were going to do the Kibosh record and blah, blah. So we just been through a whole lot, man. But now, after the Beeler Brothers record and the tour didn't happen, they were real cool, though. They didn't try to hold us. They let us go. Gave us back our masters, and I told the band, I said, see, I don't ever want to do that again because I don't like our destiny being in other people's hands.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it makes everyone around you lazy because they go, oh, we're on the label now. And it's like, no, dude, we still gotta do what we're doing. All they're gonna do is put the record out. Yeah. And collecting. But these guys were going to put us on a tour with Marilyn Manson. And so that's why we signed the deal, because we were banking on that. And then Marilyn Manson relapsed and blah, blah, blah. And then the deal just was like, fuck, here we go again. So it's funny because when I meet a lot of artists that go through like a bad time, I'm like, dude, I've kissed the sky at least 10 times and been shot down before I could, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know exactly.
But shit beyond your control, like it's beyond your control.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as far as record deal goes, and then when the Strange Music thing came back around, we're just not really interested. We're just more like, let's do a deal, but we can do an agreement. You know what I mean? Let's do an agreement. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say deal, I should say agreement. Let's do an agreement. We'll do X, Y, and Z, but we don't want no one to own us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not down with that shit.
With that being said, when you went to the opportunity with Strange Music, were they offering you like world tour?
No, because this was still the stage of just us doing the Kibosh project.
So it was a small project offshoot.
Well, this was gonna be a big project that they were doing, because Tech Nine and Chris Calico basically asked me and my band to be a part of this group project, and I was going to be the third MC, and the band was going to be the backing band, or the band. So it's basically going to be Dirtywormz with Tech Nine and Chris Calico. Okay. And yeah. So we were stoked because we were already Tech Nine fans, And we were stoked to find out he was fans of ours, and it was all that kind of shit going on. And then it was like, man, this dude's a fucking beast. Like, we were looking at Tech Nine like, whoa, this motherfucker could pick anybody in the world that he wanted to do this with. He's picking us. So we were down to do it, and so we were getting ready to put out a record, but then we're like, no, let's hold on, because if we're going to do this kibosh thing, we need to kind of, you know, you don't want to throw all your rocks in one basket, but you want to make sure what's going to happen first and second before you start acting. So I remember a lot of fans were at us because they were like, man, y'all taking so long to drop this next record. Well, we're trying to wait to see what's going on. You know, even today, like, I'll get fans that be like, when are you going to drop a new record? And I'm like, you can't just drop a record like that. You can't just, I know these little rappers out here that are doing it, but we're a band. Like, we can't just drop it. We want to maximize. And you already see, if Chris Brown can come out with a record and after 2 weeks it's old news, I'm not really that interested in dropping a record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think
that's a lot of work. I mean, watch by next week.
Yeah.
I mean, just really think about it. Just look at Drake now. No one's talking about that.
Yeah.
There's no more, like in my day, you talked about a fucking record for the next 2 years. That time is gone. See, and I know your generation, like, y'all didn't get to experience that. Like, that's what's missing in music to me, when people would be playing a record for like a whole year.
Yeah, what sets you apart though from, and maybe you could kind of like an analogy this to the Nicki album, is the production level of an album that you put out is going to take far more time than a Chris Brown album or a Drake album, because you're
well, because it's a band.
Synthesizers to a band,
yeah.
You got to mic all the
Yeah, you got to get it just right. Yeah, if you don't mic up the kick right, it'll sound weird. You know what I mean? Shout out to Dwight Baker. He helped us formulate that, and also shout out to Vallejo. They really helped craft us in that direction. Because we were doing hip hop and rock, and when I heard other hip hop rock records, I was always like, they're being too rock. And that's where I remember when Ice-T was doing Body Count, and everybody's like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's like, I was like, well, where to me he messed up is he stopped being the rapper that we love him for. And he started trying to sound like this rock person. And I said, and it's so rocky rock that it doesn't have this groove that hip hop has. So when I was working on mine, I said, but my idea of doing it, since I was already new, and if you heard my first record, it would make sense if you hear Verbal Concussions. I'm already doing all that stuff. And so I said, it's almost like Snoop Dogg trying to turn around right now and be this rock rapper. You wouldn't go for it. You know what I mean? But if me, this new guy you haven't heard of, comes out and I'm doing all these things, you could probably accept it a little more. So I knew that, and I knew the first crowd we were going to have to go after was a rock audience. And just because there's multi-levels of why, in Austin being the live music capital, I saw that people respect bands. So I was like, we got to get a band. So that's when I first saw MC Overlord, and I was like, man, this nigga got a band. That shit was dope. Okay, I can do it. You know, once I saw him doing it, I was like, okay. It was just backing me up. Like, man, I don't know, I'm finna jump out here. Because when I was telling people that I was going to do a band, rock band, Dirtywormz, they all, I repeat, all laughed at me. I remember a girl I was dating at the time laughed at me so bad, dude, and put me out on the side of the road. It's almost like when I talk about flat earth or some shit to people, and when I said that to her, like, you're going to do rock? You can't do rock. You're black, and you're blah, blah, and you're a rapper, and just get the fuck out. It was like, why are you getting so mad about it, though? I mean, I can entertain you telling me you want to be a princess. What the fuck? You know what I mean? So
right.
It was very strange, and I remember telling some other comrades, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing called Dirtywormz rock band. They were like, man, this nigga going to do some rock. What the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, wow. Because they didn't understand that even though I'm doing what I'm doing now, I'm already looking down the road what I want to do. Because I wanted to set myself so far apart that I wanted to be like an anomaly. I didn't want to be famous. I wanted to be iconic. I wanted to be like, where you could just be like, oh shit, that's Dirtywormz or that's this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, it's just hard to explain all this because it's so much. We'd be here for the next fucking 3-4 weeks trying to
No,
explain
like
it all.
I'm appreciating it, and I don't know how much more time you have to talk, but
I got time. I got time.
awesome. So you get this experience, and you know 10-15 years into the game, and in hip hop and in rock music, you've got a full understanding of media, marketing, advertising, all of this. You've built the Dirtywormz brand. When is it you start doing the international portions and going and playing overseas?
Well, that slowly started happening. Like, the music started traveling. Like, right now, for about 6 years now, this group, I can't think of the name right now. You're gonna kill me. Starts with a P. Anyway, they've been trying to get me to come to Russia to do Dirtywormz.
Yeah.
And they were showing me videos of people doing like Dirtywormz cover bands over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is around the time my mom was sick and stuff, and I was taking care of her, and I was like, man, I can't just get up and come that far, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we need more than one show. Because they were like, yeah, we got this one big show. I'm like, man, we need more than just one show. It's too far to come. Just do one show.
Yeah.
And they would be like, well, this is a big one. I'm like, I don't care how big it is. Like, it may be big, but I like hitting those little shows too. I love hitting those little shows because it's more intimate, and I feel like you actually, when I do a little bitty show, when I go play a little bitty ass spot,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I create the most hardcore Wormhead fan. When I'm playing like some big shit, it's like people are like, yeah, that was cool. But when I go play like a little venue,
Mm-hmm.
some shit you wouldn't think you see us in, man, those people right there, instantly, boom, it's like they've just become fucking hardcore fans.
Yeah.
So I understand that aspect too.
Yeah, your like visuals, as far as they go online, portray you as, you know, a festival band, like huge, like numbers.
And we don't even play that many. We don't play that many. And I think now we're gonna get into probably some touchy political shit now.
Mm.
But us being a black rock band, which we would be considered, there was, and I know people love, you know, in this post-racial era, whatever you want to call it, people love it. No, man, it's not about color. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's totally about shit like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing certain venues, and we'd come in there, and they didn't know we were black. Again, this is kind of, the internet's out, but it's not as big yet. It's not like this thing. You know what I mean? It's, I think MySpace is around at this time, shit like that, but it's still kind of just whatever. We have a record, Top of the Food Chain, hits the 101X radio here locally.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this song is blowing up for years. It's just fucking going. So then we start, people are calling in there. Shout out to Toby Ryan, who used to work down there, 101X.
Mm-hmm.
People are calling us so much. They're playing Black Piranha on the radio. They're playing Greasy. I mean, it's just going. They're still playing this Food Chain. And we're going into venues, dude, and it's just weird. Like, we feel it. And we know the difference. We know what race is. We know what it feels like. We know what it is. And we're just kind of like smiling. They're going, oh. And we're looking at their face, and they're like, oh, they're black. Oh, shit. Okay. That's cool. Hey, y'all know y'all got to do this. And it's like, we know what we're doing, dude. We're musicians.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So we're kind of going through that, and, oh, well, this can't be louder than that, and blah, blah. But we used to love it, dude, because we would turn around and we would blow the spot up.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were kind of known for that. We were known for our show, Off Top. Off Top, we were already known for, because we did a showcase at Steamboat. So the record's on the radio, so now people are going to get to see Dirtywormz for the first time. So I'm telling the band, like, dude, we got to bring in lasers and fucking all this shit. You know what I mean? And I remember at the time, I just had like, I don't know, I just saved up like $800. It was in my savings. Man, I took that shit out and I spent that shit on merch and renting lights at Rock and Roll Rentals. Even though they already had lights, we brought in extra shit. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to put a commercial out there, doing all this stuff, and everyone's looking at me. And my girl at the time was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "This show is so important that it should be a really good show. But I want when people walk in here, they be like, when they see the opening groups, they're gonna be like, oh, that was cool. Oh, that was cool. And then here we come. Screen drops down. What the fuck is this? You know what I mean? What the fuck's going on? They got commercials and shit and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, bam, they're dropping. It opens up and these motherfuckers got masks on and it's all coordinated. And you know what I mean? I just wanted them to be entertained. Because I knew that was going to be our thing. Like, that was going to grab them. Mm. It wasn't just going to be you went to go see a band. Like, hey, let's go check out this band. They're playing at the blah, blah, blah. Every time we played, we would bring in screens and shit like that, and just trying to put on a good production value. One time we came up in Red Eye Fly on Harleys and shit, and you know everybody's like, "Where's Smack? Where everybody? Wow, you hearing this?" And we're coming through the club. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We were doing shit like that, and then we were starting it. We were probably right at a real popular hype. And this kid named Daniel Narocha and this other guy got shot by the police. Mm-hmm. And it was so fucked up. And so I went to this little group meeting. It was called the People Overseeing Police, the POP. Mm-hmm. And they're in there talking about, you know, so of course we're all angry because they're like, man, it's fucked up. And of course the cops are doing then what they're doing now. They were saying, oh, I feared for my life. And well, he was running away from you. Mm. He was scared for his. He's running away from you. Well, I couldn't find my taser, and I thought he had my taser. So you shot him with your gun? Fuck out of here. Come on, man. Like, it's just like an excuse. Like, you see some of these videos. It's an excuse. It's just like, you have a license to kill, so you used it. You know what I mean? Now, not to say that in every situation, but when you see some of these situations, you're like, nah. You know what I mean? So anyway, kid gets killed. They're trying to bring awareness to it. And so I say, well, Willie Nelson ain't finna speak up for y'all or do no song. We'll do it. So we made a song called Pop Cop. And it wasn't about shooting police. It was about Pop Cop, take a picture of the police, the people overseeing police. And it was to help go along with this little organization, what they were trying to start. So we were all about the community thing. But then they fizzled out right when we did it. This Papa Cop thing took off. We performed it. People love it. Mm-hmm. And then when the festivals came, so I think it was a biker rally. First it started with this biker rally fest. Man, we want to book Dirtywormz, but oh, I remember the lady saying this verbatim. She was like, yeah, I'm looking on the website here, and y'all got masks on it. Oh, you got 2 black men. Are all y'all black? We're like, well, the guitar player is white. Was it? Okay, that's weird. You know what I mean? Mm. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, y'all are the Dirtywormz, right? Yeah, I'm the contact. You're talking to him. What's up? You want to book us? She's like, yeah. Well, let me call you back. So then she calls back. I noticed you guys have a song called Papa Cop. Well, I don't know if we can book y'all here because there's gonna be police here. Da da da. I said, well, ma'am, we just won't perform the song. I mean, we're professionals. Like, if you don't want us to perform something, we won't do it. We're not all, like, whatever.
Well, not to say that. I mean, it's a different day and age probably than it was then, but I mean, NWA was doing...
Oh, NWA did it way before us, so it's like, you know what I mean, way before us. So we were just doing something that happened, you know, around this time. This is like 2006, 2005, 2006. Mm-hmm. So then she calls back. And it kept being all this shit. Are y'all satanic? We're like, no, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And the last straw was she called back and she goes, well, y'all cuss a lot. Are y'all? I said, ma'am, if y'all don't want us to cuss, we don't have to cuss. But I've been to the biker rally. Mm-hmm. You got bitches riding around the back of bikes with their titties. Oh, can I cuss on this show?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. We got titties, shit popping out. Motherfuckers are cussing all fucking day. All these other rock bands are up there. The first thing they're saying, how the fuck y'all doing out there? You know, I mean, What's the difference of us doing it? I said, but fine, we won't cuss. And then this bitch had the audacity to say, well, how do we know that for sure? I'm like, we're professional. We've played in front of kids to where we've had to be clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's certain songs we can't do, you know, or we change them around to do them. So that's when I started noticing it. And then there was this big thing about the ACL Fest. And people were like, how come they never have y'all at that? Y'all are so big to where y'all should be playing that. And I remember this old Jewish white dude, I don't know his name, but we were all sitting out. And he was like, yeah. He's like, you know, Smack, you're a great entertainer. And you deserve to be on that stage. And y'all's face deserves to be up there with the Willie Nelsons, the Stevie Ray Vaughns, all of them, because y'all have made an impact as far as music goes in Austin to where it's known.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and I feel like y'all are not really getting that just due because y'all are not the go-along Negroes. So we're looking at him, right? This old white dude. We're looking at him like the go-along Negroes. He's like, yeah, y'all are not willing to go along with that bullshit.
Mm-hmm. He
said, if y'all were up here and y'all weren't talking about, he said, they're scared of what you might say. They're scared you might talk about the mistreatment of black people. They're scared you might talk about the injustice going on, blah, blah, because we were doing that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, they're scared of you doing that. They don't want you to do it. But if you were one of these old, just pop a bottle, let's party and dance Negroes, you'd be up there. They wouldn't mind having you there. But they can't afford to have you be the face of Austin, so they're going to try to block you. Now, this dude's telling me this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, that's why they're not going to have you at ACL Fest, because we were trying to, they were doing some ballots or something, or signing a petition to get us to play, because people were like, how are the Dirtywormz not playing this? They're like one of the biggest groups at the time in Austin. Like, they should be playing this.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the guys, I guess, from Pecan Street Festival we did, they kept telling us we couldn't cuss. But the groups before us were cussing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, you know, at the time we're like, man, why these white people always keep telling us what we can't do, but they can do it? Mm-hmm. They're doing it. What's the difference if I do it? Man, as soon as I got up there and said, fuck the Dirty, they were like, what the hell? They were getting all these complaints. And the complaints weren't even about us cussing. It was we were too loud.
Mm.
And it was just like, so we were going through a lot of that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then the final straw, I think, was with the ACL Fest and different things. Now, I noticed the shift when Barack Obama became president.
It became worse? It
became weird. Like, so for his first term, it was kind of still cool. It was like, okay, we're still doing shows like a motherfucker. We're doing our thing.
Mm-hmm.
His second term, that's when it got funny.
Is that because the individuals who aren't part of the urban community or are just trying to impose themselves on the urban community, set some sort of expectations?
No, I think it was.
Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
I understand what you're saying, but since I was there, mm-hmm. feeling it, it was totally what I knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was the shift of, okay, now wait a minute, we let them do it for 4 years, but this second term thing. But it was more than that. It was a black thing. It really was. You know, they were trying to be like, no, it's not because of that. It's because of this. And since we're black,
I'm agreeing with you. With you. What I'm saying is that these individuals that are hard left-leaning, but don't have very much interaction with the urban community, from
mm-hmm.
Asian to black to wherever, Russian, whatever. Mm-hmm. They impose these ideologies of what someone should be, an archetype of what a African American should be, in that of somebody who's not really an African American, and Barack Obama. So then they expected what you said before was this go along African American instead of a culturally aware across the board.
Yeah, they felt like because I was woke, I guess mm-hmm. that's what the kids call it today,
mm-hmm.
that, okay, forget him. Don't put him on a platform because he's gonna say something.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna say no, that's not right. That's wrong. And I also looked at it like the message we had, like we're trying to tell people, hey, be independent.
Mm-hmm.
Go, we're anti-government, all this shit, right? And I just felt that shift as soon as he took that second term.
Mm.
I noticed it from even friends of ours, and I just started noticing like they were trying to blame it on his politics and all that, but it wasn't really even about that. I'm looking at him, listening to him, like it's not because of that. You have a problem with this dude being black.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, he's still working for white supremacy. So
Mm-hmm.
he's only doing what they want him to do. So your problem is that he's black. And now I kept telling everybody then, I said, man, this racial thing is already taken off. So this is around the time we have a song called Race War that we still haven't released.
Mm.
This is the song you hear Tech Nine talking about. Like, man, I want to tear into that song called Race War that y'all have.
Mm.
And let's make that a kibosh record. Kibosh, killing America's beliefs on society's hoods.
Mm.
See what I'm saying? So this is that era of like, even Tech was feeling, you're feeling that racism is coming. And we know it all too well because we're black. So I've dealt with it all my life. So I know when the volume is being turned up. You know what I'm saying? It was already at 8. It's on 15, 16, going to 20 right now. You know what I mean? So I felt it then. And then once he was out and Trump came in, as Trump is in, as the more years on that second term of Obama, as you notice, we were doing less and less. We were getting booked less and less. It was all this. And I started remembering that old white dude, old white Jewish dude, and he's like, yeah, you're not the go-along Negro.
Mm.
And I thought of, just some of our great heroes, too, that, Malcolm X, and that talked about this kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, y'all were cool with us when we were just entertainers, but now that I have something to say, you got a problem with that. And I'm not delivering hate speech. I'm just saying what's really going on. I mean, we got white kids at our shows all the time.
Yeah,
and some people would get mad when I would talk about black history or whatever. They say, don't you think you're offending them? I'm like, they don't know I'm black?
No, I was going to say, you're not, in what you're saying now even, you're not saying that there's anything wrong with hate. It's just that when it becomes systemic hatred, it becomes a problem.
Yeah, well, we weren't pushing any hate towards anybody. If anything, we were saying, hate us. Fuck the Dirtywormz, you ain't shit.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing was, I started seeing the climate of it. Like, people really, when I would talk about black history or talk about certain things, they'd be like, well, don't you think you're offending your white fans? It'd be white people saying this. And I'm like, our white fans don't know that I'm black? That don't know that I know I'm black? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And the fact that it's almost, I'm going to be like anti-white here and saying that, do they maintain the attention span to listen to something like this? It doesn't.
Yeah, it was like I was being ignored though. Yeah, it was like whatever they say goes, So I just noticed it, Not that I'm, again, I'm not trying to be whatever, but I'm gonna talk about the real. Like, I noticed it on his second term, but I also noticed how it was affecting us as a group, as an entertainment, as now we started having, I'm hearing from friends of ours, white fans and friends that are calling me saying about certain other groups, other bands, other white bands or whoever, yeah, they really don't want y'all to play. They were like, yeah, don't have them niggers come play here, And they would say, man, it's all because y'all come in here and y'all kick so much fucking ass like now that the climate's like this, they're like, okay, that's enough of that. Like, how are we letting Smack and them come do some rock shit when we do rock and they come blow us off the stage? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So now,
and I know people don't like to talk about that kind of stuff, but I talk about it because it's fucking real as shit.
Yeah, but
if you really follow us, you'll see where that actually started happening. So as I started meeting other big CEOs and and some other promoters and stuff,
utilizing racism to compete for stage time.
Well, it was kind of like this thing of like, I mean, the promoter's white, the venue's white. and it would just start to, and I'm not saying all of them were like that. I'm just saying I did see it and feel it. Because some people would try to be like, oh man, you're just using that as, no. How many black rock bands do you know?
Mm-hmm.
How many of them are playing at a white venue?
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so we're one of the very few. Now, how many are in Texas?
Venues?
No, I'm talking about a black rock band.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
I
Like,
mean Gary Clark Jr., but he's
no, a
solo
black
artist.
rock band.
Yeah.
A black rock band. Yeah. And not to take nothing away from Gary, but again, he's not making any statements or going out there saying or doing shit in his videos that are like, you're pushing that line.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to call him a go along, get along either. I think what he does is great, but I'm just saying there is a big difference between him and us.
Yeah.
Because we're saying shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You listen to our lyrics, I'm saying it. We were talking about Bush ass. We were doing all that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Bush and his daddy. You know what I mean? So, you just got to keep that in mind. And so, like I said, I just noticed it transitioning, and I was like, yo, pretty soon, who's going to book the black rock band? Because black promoters aren't really booking us because they're not really into rock. They want to listen to hip hop. That's cool. And so what I had to do is we had to kind of change it up a little bit so that we could fit into more of a hip hop setting. So we wouldn't be so in your face rock. You know what I mean?
Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of did that. So now as it comes, you go down that pipeline, but then hip hop is also now changing. Now the pay to play thing is really coming in strong.
Well,
and we're like, yo, what's going on? Like everything is becoming, like there's so many different things changing. I'm not just all blaming it on this racial thing. I'm just saying I noticed the shift of when that came right around that time, I noticed the whole shift of everything shifting and everybody changing up, and you were either a go along, get along, or you were standing strong.
Yeah.
And we always stood strong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And because we weren't doing anything wrong. We're telling the truth. It's nothing we're saying is like a lie. You know what I'm saying? But people would be offended. Some people tried to call us racist for pointing out racism. It would just be like, you can't be a racist for pointing it out. You know what I mean? I'm just pointing it out,
Well, here's another thing that I noticed, like, when I started bartending and getting into the promotional aspect of the music industry and the bar scene and whatnot and venues, is that not a lot of these venues are owned by first or second generation immigrants, right? And they haven't necessarily dealt with the systemic racism that occurred within the South, and additionally the difference of racism as you get into the New Yorks or the Eastern Coast, where you start bringing in the Irish and the Asians, and you bring in all these groups. When you get these, second generation, first generation immigrants, and they're fighting and they're utilizing the lottery that they won off in another country to bring it here and it leads to a whole different culture, right? And I think that with the digital age and where we're moving forward, there's going to be a blurred line as to there's not going to be a lot of monopolization, in that everything is going to be up for auction on the millisecond.
Okay.
So as different sorts of individuals start building their capital to buy, I own the Nook on 6th Street today. Tomorrow it'll be owned by somebody else, but like literally.
Oh, that's always been. I mean, all these clubs have bounced around like that.
Yeah, but I mean more so like even the rhetoric or the mantra.
Because like when they want you out, let's say.
Right.
All they do is raise the property tax or the rent there.
Mm-hmm. But
and
that's government. That's a totally different thing.
No, like when we used to go to Red Fez and the Hudson and all those places back in the day that were, booming spots. All of a sudden, it would be closing. Why are you closing? You do so great here. Well, they're raising the rent, and they keep doing it because they're trying to push you out.
Right.
Because they want to put a fucking condo here. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, I mean, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. I mean, I think everybody can see that now, and I think hip hop is gonna need to go back to its real roots. And what I mean by that is back underground.
You mean nationally or globally?
Globally. I mean, like if you look at, let's say, Russia right now is about to have a boom in rap hip hop because now they've lifted something up to where now they can express themselves a little more or something. And now there's this booming thing of Russian rappers. I know this because these people, they hit me from Russia and they're like, hey man, we still want to bring you over, you know.
Was that Versus?
What's that?
Versus Are You? Like the battle?
No. It's not no battle thing. These are promoters that are trying to book Dirtywormz.
Yeah, they got hella promoters over there in Russia.
And so I tell them, I say, well, I got to bring my own people. And it's really just a scheduling thing. And when the guy hits me, he's hitting me on a level of like, hey, so next week. I'm like, damn. Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, we're going to need way more time than that, dude. Go to Russia? You know what I mean? It's just things like that. It's communication thing. And it's, you know, it's a process. But I do feel like it will happen one day. And it'll happen when it's supposed to happen, even though I wish it would have happened a lot sooner. But we all wish a lot of things would.
I guess we can dial this. I want to go back actually to the beginning. So you were raised in the Philippines, or you lived in the Philippines?
No, I lived in the Philippines.
You lived in the
Philippines? I lived in the Philippines, Japan, and Korea.
So, and then you moved to Southern California?
Moved to Northern California.
Northern California.
I was already living in Northern California, and then we went overseas.
Oh, I see. So that.
And then I came back, lived in California, lived in Georgia, then went back to California, lived there, and then left California again, and came to Alabama. And then from Alabama, I went in the military, ended up at Fort Hood, Texas, clean. Came to Austin, seen the nightlife, seen how bands were playing here every fucking night, killing it, superstars. They were all local. They were all doing their thing. And I walked in the club and said, what would it take for me to do a show in here? And he said, well, we'll just give you a night and you can have the door and we'll take the bar. And I was like tripping. I was like, what? And everywhere I went, they were saying that. And so I would go back to the hood over there on the east side and I say, how come y'all are not doing no shows over there? They're giving you the fucking club. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is promote that you're going to be there.
Yeah.
And you get the door. I said, dude, this is like we're walking out of a bank getting free money. And so we were able to do that for a long time. Now I think things are kind of different with the clubs now. Things in the future, what I already see coming with clubs, pretty soon you're going to have to sign some weird deal. Not with the club, I'm saying, but there's going to be a group. There's going to be a group of whatever organization it's going to be. You're going to have to basically sign a deal just to be able to perform in a fucking bar. Yeah, that's already the case. You know, I mean, when I went to Canada, I think it was C3. They were like, I was like, yeah. So I was over there. I did a great night. It was packed out, all this stuff. So I said, yeah, let's look at the dates now, and let me come back in a couple months. Doing. They said, oh man, C3, you basically came in on the end of that deal to where they went ahead and allowed you to be able to do this show, and granted what was already there. But from now on out, they book everything. They handle everything. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah. I'm like, and I started noticing that's a lot of places that are doing that. Because they got the deals through those artists. Like, hey, we'll book you. We're your personal. So now, if you want to get booked in the club, you're going to have to go do a deal with them. But let's say they want to book Bruno Mars or Smackola. They're going to go with him. And then I'm just sitting there waiting for y'all to book me. So essentially what I understand is that the venues sign a deal with the promotion companies so that the promotion companies cover the music licensings for the building, like the karaoke nights and the dance. Well, they basically signed it over so that you book all the road acts that come through here and we don't have to do anything. We're just the venue. Yeah. And I get it. I get why I did that. Like, that's a guaranteed, hey, yeah, I want big acts coming through here. Like, yeah, you're going to push them through here? Cool. But then it kills the local, it kills the next kid that's out there like me. Because he can't get in now. Now he has to get in through another way. He pretty much has, he's probably going to already let the game take 50% of his brand or his name, or 60% of them, before he can even just step in just to try to see if anyone likes it.
Yeah.
And that's what I just feel like, man, that's crazy. We were like one of the last groups to come in off of that era. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And but it felt good to say that we were, I'm bringing the Dirtywormz back. Shout out to Crash. Crash is really the one that put that all together.
Mm-hmm.
And but to bring it back and just to see the response from the people. I mean, I was in the gym and there was like 5 dudes and they're like, "Yo, you are the Dirtywormz guy." And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Yeah, we're coming to the show, man. We just heard that they're getting back together and we always see you with the gear."
Mm-hmm.
And the guy at the door was like, "Yeah, one of the guys from the Dirtywormz works out here all the time." So it was cool just to see the reaction of people, and that makes me feel good because, like I said, for us to be an independent group and do it, that's why I don't understand when a lot of artists here or in Austin say, "Oh, I get love everywhere else."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, somebody got to like be into you here. Like, we get love everywhere else too, but we're based out of here, and people, that's weird. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't understand, but I do know that we're the last era of that.
Right. Yeah.
And there's no more people helping people really anymore. Like, Vallejo was a big help to us that got us in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And but if it wasn't for Overlord doing what he was doing, it would have been harder for us to get in, because now these owners, these club owners and stuff, they saw what Overlord was doing and they liked him.
Mm-hmm.
So all Overlord had to do is go, "Oh yeah, Dirtywormz? Yeah, they're cool." Boom, that got us in the door. You know what I'm saying? And now we did the same for other people. You know what I mean? We would do the same exact thing.
Well, I don't
But
mean to
now,
beat a dead horse here though,
Mhm.
but that even let's take Rainy Street for example. They just don't want to hire anything but DJs. Like, they're not doing any live music. The crowd, they have a built-in crowd, and
because they want to get the alcoholics in.
yeah, and
They want to get the alcoholic to come in there,
but I bring
hear their favorite song on the radio,
if
or
I
that's
bring
playing
them
on TV.
if I bring them an artist that and I've done it both ways, white and black, Asian. I don't really know any Asian hip hop artists. I would if I knew one. Bring them in, offer it, and there's different levels. They don't want hip hop in general. There's so much, you know what I mean? And I even feel like, I feel sick, you know what I mean? When I start talking to these people.
I mean, you can't really be mad at them for whatever they want at their venue, but it's just, everybody's got their thing, man. It's just sad to see from the music scene that I seen here in Austin that made me fall in love with Austin, to call Austin my home and say, man, I'm moving from Sacramento. I'm going to live in Austin. I'm going to rep Austin because this is my new home. Because before, like I said, I was growing up pretty much all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came here, it just spoke to me. And I just said, I like it here. Mm-hmm. There wasn't this real crazy ass crime going on, the type of shit that was going on in California. Like, motherfucker get ready to fight out here or shoot somebody out here. There's so many warning signs. It's like, I'm just surprised people get shot out here. You know what I mean? But it's like, there's certain things that are just not happening. And that's what made me fall in love with it. But there's so many things that are happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, man, you can go downtown every night of the week. There's a band or an artist playing somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Even a little hole, I would go in little holes in the wall that probably hold like 100 people, packed. Mm-hmm. And some people would say, there's only like 100 people in here. I'm like, dude, $10 a head though, on a Tuesday night. 8 o'clock and you're doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
She just paid her rent and she's going to be here next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
I just
yeah.
loved it, dude. I was just like, wow, like, man, you know what I mean? Like, you could do so much, like, but I see where everyone now is into the whole, they just have to have millions of fans. And it's like, that's not really real, though. That's not like, that takes a lot. That's corporations are involved, and, you know, to get you to that level, you know, you gotta really be playing. There's gotta be people. There's a definitely agenda of pushing you to get to that level.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, to each his own. I mean, I've said to you before, and I said to my friends, like, we would love to play Madison Square Garden because we would rock the fuck out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not worth me giving up everything I worked for, sacrificed for, just to be able to stand on that stage, kill it, and for you to control my life now because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing I like to do is I like to do those things even in our most biggest heydays. Like, as you still see me do, I walk around with myself all the time. I go on stage, I do that stuff. That's just stuff we do on the stage. And we come off and it's like, what's up? You know what I mean? We're not caught up in the whole, you know, because we work with rappers and people that have these extreme egos that don't even need to be having them. You know what I'm saying? We've never been the VIP types. I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain. It's just different. It's different now. It's really more of a facade now than it was back then, even though it was a facade. The music business was a facade back then too, but it's even now, what I see now is they're just selling people on being famous or just being seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see it in everything, well, especially on Instagram. Like, the girls first started off, they were taking pictures with their ass to the camera. Then now they're wearing G-string. Now they got pasties on their titties. Now they're showing a little nipple. Now they're starting to show pubic hair. Now they're fucking. I mean, it's just like, it just keeps. It's this attention thing, like to where, and I get it. It's like all these endorphins, like, or my homeboy Toby will be riding all the time. This dude's looking at his phone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, you're addicted to it. You're addicted to just looking at your phone for information. And even though I can tell you all day long, I'm going to look over at you and you're looking at your phone.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the movies. You're looking at your phone. We're driving down this fucking street. You're looking at your phone.
Mm-hmm.
We were at this little event last night. You're looking at your phone. It's like, and I just watch him. He's scrolling and like just taking in information. But he's not the only one. I see a lot of people do that. And I'm like, wow. And I thought I was bad, but I'm not even that bad. Like, I do it because I'm promoting something.
Mm-hmm.
He's catching up on the headlines. What's the latest headline news thing? Oh, what happened now? Oh, what happened now? What happened now? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're in that era now. And so these labels are able to push you to people's phones and keep you in there. And as you see what it is, and I'm not even trying to shit on the new young artists, but I mean, let's just think about it. Like, we're not talking about their music. We're talking about some antics they did. We're talking about an argument they had or a fight they had. And if we do talk about the music, you're not really talking about the music. And people might disagree with me on that, but I say this. You're not talking about their music. You're talking about the numbers they did. Mm-hmm. But you're not talking about the record and what it meant to you, what it did for you, how it changed your life. Or, you know, back in my day, like, they were talking about records like that. Like, the record, like, oh, what do you think he's talking about on this bar right here? Or, oh, you see the way he put this together? Like, oh, that's oh, this connects with the song from you had from the. There's none of that going on. It's just people just saying some shit. And how outrageous and shock value can we get? But there's no message, really.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Let's go back to the industry real quick. So, tomorrow night is, and you brought up his name earlier, but Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie are playing at Austin 360 tomorrow. you know, you brought him up, and is like, how come these larger acts aren't putting local artists on before they perform? I remember the
we'll
last
see.
time I saw that at that level was, I think I saw, I can't even, I don't even remember if this is real, but I saw Lil Wayne. I know that I went to the event at the Travis County Expo Center back in like 2011 or 10. I went to a Lil Wayne concert, and he had brought on some local acts prior
We were
to
supposed to be
opening
one of
for
them.
him. Oh, really?
We were supposed to, that's what I mean by we're the last band of that era of all that stuff. Like when Korn came here,
Mm-hmm.
they performed at the Expo Center. I got a call, I think 2 days before it happened, and it was the road manager or somebody. I think it was the road manager. And he was like, "Hey, and I don't even know how he got my number. Well, he got my number through one of the guys at the Expo Center."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Hey, we're looking to book Dirtywormz. The band really likes you guys and would like to have you guys come open up for this ESPN thing." And because I think they like to do stuff like that. You know what I mean? And we were like, "Hell, fucking yeah! Like, what? We're personally being invited to do this." You know what I mean? I was like,
Mhm.
"Fuck yeah!" And so that put us out there even more too, because it wasn't like a group. It wasn't like us and then another group and then Korn. It was us and then Korn on the
Mhm.
stage, big sound, all that shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean by we're the last of that era. So what you're talking about, like that, like how people, like how Marilyn Manson or them, or I don't even think that's not even something up to them. They're just being booked, and whatever company that put that together or tour, that's a tour package. But back in the
Well,
day, what they would
yeah.
have did was that tour package would have had a local group from here opening up. I do know what you're talking about, like, and that's what I miss. Like that doesn't happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least not in Austin, or it's not happening in Austin no more. But it used to happen all the time. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
my friends Vallejo open up for all kind of big motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when that happened with us with Korn, we were like, "Oh hell yeah!" And then I remember David Draymond was like, "Yeah, if we do a show here, we'll get y'all on." I was like, "Fuck yeah, Disturbed." So we're like counting all the bands we're gonna be able to get up under our belt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just around that same time, like I said, it wasn't just a racial thing. It was around the same time the industry was changing. The socialness of people were kind of now they're showing their true colors a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. All that shit was changing. It was all these things going on. You know what I mean? Uh, the fuck. I mean, you just name it. It was just it was so many things, not just one thing. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
so many things that were changing the landscape of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss that though, man. And that's why I said, like, I feel bad because there's a kid out there that could probably blow us out the water, but
Mm-hmm.
he's never going to get that chance, really. I can't say he's never going to get the chance, but in a way, he's never going to get the chance to have the experience like how we did, where you would have shit like that happen.
Yeah.
Now he's got to go through a company, and it's got to controlled, and oh my God, dude, just fucking like.
The episode I did last was with the founders of this new festival that's coming to Austin, Waterloo Fest. It's kind of a jam band festival, but they're a production company or promotions company that's like one level under C3, or actually I guess two levels under C3, because they're basically owned by Giant Noise, and Giant Noise is basically owned by C3, which is ultimately basically owned by Live Nation. And
Yeah, see, it's all the fucking.
so
It's like all connected.
we were talking to I was talking to you about the G-Eazy stuff and my situation, what was going on with how I had access to the Logic stuff, and then the next moment, because of a circumstance, I didn't have access to the G-Eazy. And it's not necessarily the artists that are the ones calling the shots anymore.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
The artist is just playing his part. Hey, they got me here. Half the times they're not even like you could have said to one of those guys, "Hey man, tell Jeezy Trent's here. He knows me from blah blah." He ain't even gonna go tell him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not even gonna happen. And as I was telling you, that's another big part of the rap game I just didn't like, man. Was like
Is that because
all
like
the ass kissing
is that
shit. I
because
didn't
that they're
like that.
scared to lose their position
Well,
in
because
the system?
everybody's controlled by somebody, and
Mm,
everyone's just trying to do what they're told. You see
mm,
this all the time when you see security dudes at a show or something,
mm-hmm.
and it'll be something simple, but the security guy can't figure it out. It's like, dude, I mean, you can't put this together. Like, oh, you don't get to call any shot. No, you gotta do this. Can't be here. Can't. You know what I'm talking about? When you see
Mm-hmm.
shit like that, and you're
Yeah.
like, you mean you can't make a call? Like, you don't know how to see that where this is wrong or something to fix it or help us
Mm-hmm.
out.
Yeah.
You know, people don't want to lose their positions. People don't. It reminds me. I was watching They Live last night, like how the dude was saying, "Man, I just got this job, man. Don't be over there giving a fuck about what they're doing." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like we're not trying to be involved, man. I just got this job, man. I'm just trying to, be cool, find my comfortable. Even though, yeah, it's some bullshit, I'm trying to find my comfortability in the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the same thing. Like they don't want to ruffle any feathers because a lot of those people do have strong egos, and it's not even the artist that has the ego as big as the guy that's probably his road manager.
Mm-hmm. Not even his road manager, but like the
No,
PA.
I'm just giving an example. Like it's not even gonna be the artist. The artist is gonna be real cool.
Yeah.
Usually the road manager or whoever they put in charge of something is gonna be the one that feels like he's got to flex his power of, I'm denying you to meet him
Mm-hmm.
because I don't like you. See what I'm saying?
Mm.
It's the same thing as how I had about Austin as far as whenever there's big shows here, they don't grab the right artist to put on with the other artists and hook him up. Like, well, I don't like that guy. Well, who gives a fuck if you like him or not? That guy's the difference between us getting spotlighted or not. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
put him there so that he can blow up and hopefully he'll bring more attention. He could bring somebody else up.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all don't want that shit to happen. And usually it comes from these DJs or other people that have the plug but won't plug you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
But you go to other cities and shit, they're all plugging each other.
Yeah.
And they all have some little bullshit going on between them too, but it's all going on. And that's the difference that we see between the rock crowd and the hip hop crowd.
Mm-hmm.
The hip hop crowd is all about clout.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about look at me, I'm a star.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somebody. I came out the womb rich.
Mm.
I came out the womb not struggling. I'm just doing great. I get to show you my life on Instagram and I'm just living a life and I'm gonna tell you every day how blessed I am. But if you talk to one of those people that are saying that, they're gonna tell you how miserable they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And so and then when I'm in the rock crowd, like the rock crowd doesn't really have an ego like that. It's more of like, yeah, man, just come out, jam, have a good time, and rock out. But they do have little funny things they do,
Mm.
but it's not like on some rap shit. Like I just heard the thing with Tiana Taylor and them, Tiana Taylor and whoever that guy is, Jamera or somebody that she's on tour with,
Mm.
and just hearing the antics they do. But I'd always hear those little antics through the years, like, oh, so and so put pepper spray in their smoke machine.
Mm-hmm.
So that when they shoot the smoke out, all the fans in the front row are gonna be like, "What the fuck, man? Pepper spray in my eye." Yeah, I mean, shit like that be going on, dude. And that's why I be trying to tell crews, I'm like, look, your crew has to be tight because you can't just let people do certain things. You got, hey man, just because people get jealous and do funny ass shit.
Mm.
And she was saying, yeah, somebody came out there and poured water all over the stage. You know, I'm gonna be dancing, I'm gonna fall and bust my ass. They're on the same tour together, competing against each other. But in a way that's not healthy. Like it's like
No.
y'all are trying to sabotage each other.
I mean, it should just be about the actual like.
But it happens.
Vocal
It should
performance.
be, but it does happen. And when it happens, it's just like I see that more with rap than anything. I'm just like, man, what is it? Like, why can't you be great and they be great too? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with this battle. You know what I mean? It's like there's certain rules and regulations and things you do, but it's just like I don't know, man. It's a different era now. So
There's a stretch though. I mean, you guys are close in age, but there's a stretch in the experience and overall.
well, let's get into it. Let's get into the battle. Tell me what you tell me what you think.
It's a
You're
stretch.
telling me it's a stretch of what? What exactly?
He has to get into a bag to even come close to what you're bringing to the table. I mean, there's just so much. There's so much that he would have to be doing in order to perform even at half the level that you're going to be performing at. Like we talked about, he's not been rehearsing that much or putting
Well,
out
I don't know if he's been rehearsing. I heard he
But
was
let's
rehearsing.
be honest. Like in today's day and age, you need to
Yeah,
show
people
that you're
post
rehearsing.
everything. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you need
so
to
yeah,
show
I
it.
know what you mean.
And he's not doing that. And where is him contacting all the dancers in Austin saying, "Hey, will you do this for me if I do this for you?" Dot dot dot. You know what I mean? There's a lot of this.
I mean, but there could be that going on though. I mean, this could be, which I don't know, but I mean, it wouldn't be my strategy, but it could be a strategy to act like he's just coming in half-ass and he comes in there full cock like a motherfucker. You know what I mean? I don't never underestimate anybody. Anybody.
Yeah, you would
I never
think,
underestimate. That's why every time we've approached the show, we go in there to kill it. We don't assume that we're gonna be the best or do no, we're going in all the way full on.
Yeah.
We don't have time to
Mule.
we ain't gotta do no, let's reach our full potential. I don't
Right.
care about what they're doing, and let's just do us.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to outdo somebody.
No, but you
Let's
are.
do us to our fullest potential.
You're trying to outdo yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But you are it is a performance battle. So you are trying to outperform whatever.
But all I'm gonna do is just perform my best to my fullest ability.
Yeah. Of course. And that's what everybody expects.
Now, I do think from experience, I probably do have a little more experience because I think I have the type of songs that I can perform live that are going to put me in that position. So whenever I'm in the studio recording with other artists too, I always tell them, I say, you should do songs that you're at the stage now of promoting yourself. So all the songs that you should really be kind of doing now, these should be songs that you could do live. And these should be songs that you need to be in the studio thinking, okay, I'm going to perform this on stage.
So you're going to be taking him to lengths that he may not have the catalog to go to.
Yeah, but I may be biased, but I'm going to say I don't think anybody can fuck with us like that. I don't think anybody. Not calling names, I'm just saying I don't think anybody can because we're going to do us.
Mm-hmm.
But within the sense of that, again, just me being wise, I can't just assume that he doesn't have it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna assume it because when you start doing stuff like that, that's when you lose.
Yeah, I mean, if he's
so I'm just gonna go full. So I would think he's practicing. I don't know. Now, just because I haven't seen it, because I don't show everybody every single practice I do, but you have seen them.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't assume that. I hope he's prepared for it because I would be. I would have probably maximized more promotion out of it than I've seen him do.
Well, I don't mean to be like super negative to him, but he was on some shenanigans with the hip hop awards stuff that I told you about. So that's what leads me to be like negative towards him in any way is because he just kind of like he alienated a lot of people in the hip hop awards. That leads me to believe that something like this, he's gotta really.
Well, it's time to show and prove.
Yeah.
But again, for the people that don't know probably what happened, like if you go on a video show and you call someone out based on, that's what he did. I know he tried to flip it around, but he gave me a backhanded compliment. This is a guy that I looked out for, put him on some shows, helped him out in that sense. Yeah, we've joked with each other and done things, but some of the jokes only go so far because I already know where I am as an artist, and I'm not trying to crush another artist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be like, hey man, I'm better than you, or I'm whatever, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, hip hop does have a competitive sport to it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get on a show and you make a claim like I'm the best in Austin, there's nobody better than me performing wise, and the only person y'all would say that is probably better than me is Smackola of the Dirtywormz. And right now, Smackola can't fuck with me. I did a show with him on South by Southwest that he put me on, and I didn't even stick around for the show. But I saw a video of the show. And by that video alone, when I saw that, I knew that I was better than him. Now, I took that as a disrespectful backhanded comment like, okay, you're on your high horse and you jumped out the window. Because you could have felt that you were the best. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you brought me into it and tried to compare it, in this day and age of show and proving, like you were just saying, that ain't going to fly, man. Now you're going to have to back that shit up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come at you on no violent shit. Man, I'm gonna pull up on you and, we're going to fight. I didn't do no shit like that. I challenged you to a battle. Now, I clowned his ass too because that's who you're dealing with, So I clowned you, challenged you to this battle to, okay, well, let's show and prove it. Let's make it be something. It organically took off on its own.
Okay. For those of you who don't know and are listening, he's talking about an interview that was on the White Brothers Facebook page and podcast, and it was talking about basically that the Austin hip hop scene and George Von Doom's opinion on it. And then that episode the next week was followed up as basically another shot directly at my podcast from the White Brother saying that Smack was going to come on here and that the White Brother and George had put together this whatever it was, and I was going to benefit from that content. I don't think that this was something that was fabricated or that,
No, because you know what? There's other people that have interviewed me that I don't think they benefited from it. They just, this is what hey, what happened? We heard about this and blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
No different than anything. So
well, the man White Brother told me
if Fox
So,
News told me to come do an interview about it, I'd go do it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the White Brother telling you that, I don't really know where all that anger or hostility comes from when it's like y'all are media outlets. I don't know why, but it goes back to that Austin thing too of like,
mm-hmm.
I've seen Austin go through a phase of where everyone just had to be against the other person. There can only be one rapper.
Mm-hmm.
There can only be one DJ. It's like I don't get it. That's why we don't have anything. Like, you can't just be the only one in the entire city. How many people live in Austin?
There's a lot of different lanes, obviously.
That's what I'm saying. There's like just so many things. So
you got
I don't really know where that comes from. That's always been weird to me. I guess because I've been around such major shit
mm-hmm.
that I just look at it like I think it's great for what all y'all are doing. I think it's great that you have a podcast. White Brother has a podcast. That hell, I'm waiting on T-Double to start one. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I would just help if
all that stuff, Nook doing what he's doing with the community, and I just look at all these different things and go, okay, that's all great. Why can't we just create a lane and everybody can coexist? I don't know. I just don't. That part to me, it doesn't make sense. I don't know.
On my side of the thing, it's there's a lot of finding out about new outlets that are beginning. I've seen a lot of outlets that have come and gone, and they were all talking about different genres of music or different genres of art in the Austin area. And there's becoming like certain studios that are like perpetuating the podcast, live broadcast, pirate radio forward. It seems, though, that the most successful podcasts are the ones that are a little dirtier in the sense that they're like.
Of course, yeah, of course. Because more, it's shock.
Yeah, like the Kobe. Well, not. I mean, like the production. The production is a little less clean. You know what I mean? It has a little bit more flavor, culture to it. The Cobra cast that he's doing in his like his own home studio. The White Brother, which is sort of like I don't know what he's doing exactly, but he's got like a green screen. It's not like super high quality. You know, that's all right, doing its thing. The guys over, or the girl over there doing royalties ATX, she's putting together a couple of different versions. I think that there really hasn't been that professional broadcast person yet in this new digital radio market. I think that that's something that's coming up.
I think you build to it. I mean, Howard Stern just didn't come out the gate being who he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
sure
I think it's just, I mean, look at like I said before, look at Joe Budden.
Mm-hmm.
To me, really, he's the fucking ringleader of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing that back in the YouTube, MySpace days.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at where he's at now with the pull-up,
Mm-hmm.
look how much better it looks with all the other ones. Now, what's going to be the next one he does? Like, he's working his way towards all that. You see what I'm saying?
Well, the most successful one was him incorporating his friends in the
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah.
You know.
But when I saw the pull-up one that you're talking about, like with T-Pain,
Yeah.
just the way it looked and how it was set and how they shot it, that looked like
it's real crisp, real
yeah.
clean. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looked good, and I just think he's a good interviewer and he's a good, you know what I mean?
Well, so is, like, you saw the Rap Radar Elliott Wilson Jay-Z.
I saw a little snippet of it where he did with Nicki Minaj. I haven't really watched the one yet.
Oh, so a new one. Yeah. I like what they're doing. I also really like what Beats One does with I'm gonna forget that guy's name right now. The guy from Australia, the Aussie. That guy, I like what they do. I like the Breakfast Club. I like Ebro. I consume this content, and I'm, as a professional, working toward that level. But they signed a deal. You know, they signed their deal to iHeart or Clear Channel to get to that point.
Right.
I'm looking at these Clear Channel, iHeart deals, and the opportunities for someone like me who's an entrepreneurial spirit is way different than when they sign those deals.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, but I kind of know what you're talking about.
Now, I don't know where this is going to be, 10 years from now, because 10 years from now, you might be a voice actor or a radio host, and you're signing a real competitive deal to what it is today with a traditional terrestrial radio deal. Though,
but
I mean, it's a whole different. It's a gamut, but it's almost.
But what I'll say that I do like about the new podcast styles that aren't so professionally crisp and all that, I feel like they're actually more honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like what me and you are doing right now is more honest. It's just like it's a conversation. It's not really like I just feel like it's an interview, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's kind of like we're just talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
People could be driving their car and listen to this, and it's just like you're just listening to a conversation.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's more honest. I'm not going to try to be all, let me try to be politically correct because our advertisers, and because when you're on shit like that, you do have to think about shit like that.
Something I've noticed, though, is that with the individuals that are, like, just popping, or these artists that are coming off of SoundCloud, Instagram, or Twitter, or wherever, and I'm having an interview with them, is that you got to get it when it's hot, and it's more difficult than something like you who has a catalog of records, has a long history to talk. And I'm not trying to make this an age thing, but it's an experience and professionalism thing.
Yeah, I can see that. As I tell young artists all the time, they'll even say to me, "Well, Smack, you're old now. You don't know." I said, "One day you're gonna be old."
Mm-hmm.
I said, but I tell you what, I may be old, but let me you get up on that stage right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this old ass gonna dust your ass. I'm gonna dust you bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And because your idea of putting on a good show or being crunk is the fact that you're just jumping up and down swinging your braids.
Mm-hmm.
No. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Like you think because you do that your show, you put on a better show. No, that's not it. Because you got louder. No.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're jumping around the whole time. No.
That's hilarious.
It needs to be put together.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
How did you go from that one song into the next song for it to make sense? How did you transition that? How did you impact the crowd to where you know that the crowd's looking at you and they're taking it in the way they're supposed to take it in? They go, man, that was deep. Or I understood every single, even though he's rapping hella fast, I understood every fucking word he said.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sound muffled. He's not rapping over his vocals. See, you're going to come up here rapping over your vocals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not going to just be able to get spontaneous and go off this way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I see the age difference, but that's only in hip hop, man. It's only in the hip hop genre that this is even a conversation.
Mm-hmm. No,
you know,
it is in the rock.
No, dude, because if I'm telling you, fucking Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie are performing tomorrow. That shit's gonna be packed.
I hear what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Level, but there's from what I've experienced at like the hardcore or the death metal scene, there are like the signed artists and there are the underground scene. And while there's kind of a respect, there's also like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, but I think that's across the board as far as society in general. Like, the youth have lost respect for older people, but it's being promoted like that to them. So
it's both
that's why
ways,
they're doing it.
It's both ways.
It kind of, yeah, I can see it being both ways, but I see where it's coming from, though. It's coming because the young is not respecting the guys that have done it. And so it makes the guys that done it go, what the fuck are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just straight up. It's like, so when you got one of these older guys trying to tell one of these younger dudes, like, hey, man, you should move like this, and the younger guy's like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, dude, I've been in here more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You're not finna do nothing new.
Yeah.
You're finna get fucked if you don't do this, if you don't do that. You're gonna look back and wish that you did this or did that, but y'all don't have, what's his name say? Y'all don't have OGs. Y'all got IG.
Yeah. Who did say that?
You
Was
know?
that Noriega?
I don't know who said it, but somebody said it.
I remember hearing that as well.
And it's kind of like, it's true because you don't have nobody to guide you. See, I had people to guide me.
Mm-hmm.
I had people, like when I first met Busta Rhymes and Tretch from Naughty by Nature and Vinny, when those dudes talk, and even my friend Willie D from Ghetto Boys, when he talks or tells me something about the industry, I don't debate with him. I don't even give him my opinion. I listen. And I learned the art of that a long time ago. The art of listening. When you're talking to people usually today, they don't have that skill to listen.
But to be the
they're listening to reply. They're not just listening.
To be the devil's advocate here, though, what about those guys like a 50 Cent that signed a deal way too early, and you see these kids now getting hella deals, like 360 deals, $1 million contracts out the gate, but have no experience.
I kind of feel like, I mean, you gotta really. It's tricky because, like you said, everyone likes to show everything on Instagram, right? Man, if you were really around half these dudes and saw where they were living, dude, you'd be like, what? You know what I'm saying? I see with all this jewelry on, all this shit. Show me your house, motherfucker. Show me the outside of that motherfucker. Show me just your living room. They ain't showing you that. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not doing it like how, what's his name, Floyd Mayweather's walking around doing some shit, showing you his shit.
Mm-hmm.
So when they can get Floyd, he's showing you his shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You don't see none of these other guys doing that.
Right.
You'd be shocked.
Well,
But because most people hear these $30 million deals, $10 million deals, man. But what they're not realizing is, let's say an artist gets signed for $20 million. He's not getting 20 million.
mm-hmm.
His whole budget of them spending is gonna be that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not walking away with none of that in his pocket. Then they're gonna put him up in a house that they're probably renting out for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the day that he can't do it anymore, or can't, push out music or whatever it is, or they decide to drop him and go with someone else, guess what? He's out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his. Those
So,
days are gone.
is there room for a person like a Zane Lowe or a Rick Rubin or shit, what's his name? I can't remember his name. The top level producers in the digital age, because record selection for radio is a lot different than record selection, I guess, for the digital platforms.
Right, because now it's all just keyboard based
Mm-hmm.
beats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't even listen to radio no more. I just, like even when I'm in the clubs, there's not really unless I'm just trying to have a good time, I'm not really into a lot of stuff I hear because it's the same topic conversation over and over. You gotta remember, I lived through the era as a youngster, as in my up until I was 25.
Mm-hmm.
The club would end with slow songs, slow jams, and you would actually go get a girl and y'all would grind it out on the dance floor
Mm-hmm.
before the club closed.
Mm.
They don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
sit back and go, wow, man, like I lived through the era of the slow dance. They would play some fast songs, da, da, da. Then they put on some slow jams, and you would go ask a girl to dance, and y'all would dance. And that was the shit,
I think we're
because
about
that's
to go
what
down
y'all are
another
trying to
road,
do.
though.
What's
I think
that?
we're gonna go around the road that the fact that the industry, that society is being pussified, or they're turning, you know.
Well, if you're loving your woman, you're not really probably spending money on drinks.
Mm,
But if you're trying to put your dick up on some hoes on the dance floor, you're buying shots.
mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Not
don't know if
even
that's a
that.
real thing, but that's just how I look at it. Like, I just look at it going, well, they probably sell more if they're playing music that is like making the girls shake their ass and you want to get up on it. Now you're naturally going to say to her, "What? Hey, do you want a drink?" Because the drunker she gets, right?
I was thinking of saying that, but then the narrative even is now that, the little Uzi Verts or the little Pumps or everything, they're all bisexual or like homosexual,
Well,
and
yeah, we see
there's
that
no
coming.
there's no like there's no slow jams to being like that, and then these guys are that closetly, you know what I mean? It's not like they're well, it's becoming more public, right? But
Yeah, and that's weird too.
you see dudes slow dancing at the end of the night, so it has its cons and its benefits, because those you don't want to see that as a heterosexual male or heterosexual female, in the club. You'd rather see, Fifth Street do its thing, Sixth Street do its thing, Seventh East, Seventh, Sixth do
Yeah, I
their
mean, I
thing.
feel that. I mean, I don't want to see two dudes slow dancing, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying for the clubs I hang out at, I mean, pretty much nowadays they're hanging out their own clubs. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't, you're not gonna really see that like that. But what I'm
No.
saying is there is a big difference though in the vibe of you going out that's missing, because part of you really going out to a club is to meet a girl.
Yeah.
And so now all y'all just turning up. And so what I see in the club is everybody's turning up so much that all the girls are in a section, all the guys are in a section. They got a bottle. They're over there doing, and it's just like this very. It's just different.
Yeah, well, from my generation, sexualization and like romance was real demonized.
Well, your generation too. Well, y'all have a bad thing is y'all are socially awkward.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, because
your generation has a bunch of socially awkward people. Like the dudes don't even know how to talk to girls.
No, because
and I'd be like,
talking
what
to
the
them on a
fuck?
phone for all
or
that
you're
either
texting,
online or
yeah,
on
or
phone.
you're texting them and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it's like I said. So it affects everything. It's just everything across the board. But I'm just happy I was in the era where I lived and seen that and been in it. And wow, it's just like it's just totally different. But I guess that's why I look at music different.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the rappers that you see nowadays, they're just rapping to be rapping. Like when you really start asking the questions, they don't even know nothing about the culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just like to rap. And most of these people that claim that they like hip hop and like, no, you don't like hip hop. You just like beats.
What's the room for like a female MC in Austin?
It's kind of I think it's still wide open. I mean, there are some out here. There are some out here doing their thing.
Yeah.
I think they have it a little harder, of course, because again, how many female promoters are there that are going to book them? Most male promoters that are probably going to book a female artist, you're going to have one.
Yeah.
Rarely do you, if you go to a hip hop show and there is a female on, even we try to do this, we'll try to have one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you're not going to really see two female artists and then two guys. That'll be a rarity. Not to say it hasn't happened, I'm just saying it's very rare. Or if you do see a show with females, usually it's an all-female show, which is cool because males do all-male shows all the time.
Yeah, that seems cool though.
And in my era, there was always at least a female performer of some type because you want to mix it up. You want to, you know what I'm saying? But not to shit on the females. So any of y'all hearing me right now, they're gonna be mad at me and shit.
No, what you're saying is
some females are just hard. They're harder to work with for some reason. I'm gonna say that's been my experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to work with a female artist because I'm not even gonna say the reason why I think it is. It just is for some reason. It never goes really smooth at all.
Here's a good way to like illustrate it. How much do you think it cost for Nicki Minaj to buy out a week of no new release music?
What is that?
Like literally, have you heard any new music from like mainstream artists? I have to imagine that they shelved a lot of content so that her voice could be heard, right?
Oh yeah. Well, it depends who signed to their label. I mean,
look. If all the labels are like kind of under the same umbrella.
But I know if you're the main person, whether you're female or male, a lot of y'all got shelved just for her record to come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know what? Would be a cool podcast is to hear from those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there was an avenue for people, this might be on something here. If there was an avenue for those artists that were shelved that you never got to hear from.
Yeah.
Because if you've been to LA and you've met some of these guys and girls that have been shelved and you hear some of their shit, you'll be like, how in the fuck did you never come out?
Right.
How is that even possible? Because when you hear the talent level,
I think that those individuals would be extremely scared.
They're smart. No, they're smart.
Yeah.
Actually. And what ends up happening is you're not the go along, get along. So we put you over here. Oh, you want to talk about what? Oh, yeah. Well, we don't want you to talk about that. We just want you to talk about, Louis Vuittons and Lexus. Can you mention Lexus buying or BMW in your rhyme? Yeah, because, We get some kickback for that. That's advertising. That's free advertisement.
Yeah.
I don't hear artists talking about their own brand or a well-known brand, hip-hop brand.
Mm-hmm.
They're naming Italian brands. They're naming these rich companies like, I want a Maybach.
Mm-hmm.
I want a fucking Mercedes. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Like, that's, you're basically advertising. You're basically advertising. Hip-hop is advertising.
So that kind of leads me to believe why the Nicki Minaj album is 19 songs long, is because she has to say all of that advertisement, and then she gets to say whatever little thing she wants to say. You know, and then when you compare that to the Iggy Azalea album, which is much shorter, she's just doing all that flexing, talking advertisement, and I mean, there's some conversation about.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't heard any of those albums.
we talked about Iggy before.
Yeah.
About how she was dating someone you knew, and then I guess that's the separation that she's talking about on the album, and then she the issues with T.I. and whatnot. So this album is kind of coming off of that. And so that's, it kind of related more to
Well, whoever's backing Iggy, I'll say this, they put a lot of money behind her.
Mm-hmm.
And as you see that one year, whatever that was, when she just took over the airwaves,
mm-hmm.
you didn't hear anybody really riding around bumping that, or it wasn't like this demand like that, but she was all over the radio. But again, she was put in the machine.
Mm-hmm.
So your idea of her is blown up. So even though everybody would talk all that shit about her, let her come here to do a concert.
Mm-hmm.
Watch how many people will be down there.
To
it'll be packed. It'll be packed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's no longer really about. It's just about the fact that what I see with the youngsters now is they're just looking at people that are popular.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact they're popular.
Mm-hmm.
And no doubt they're probably liking their music. Like, I believe that. This is the music of the generation. I don't want to sound all like that. But the main component is the fact that they're popular. Because look at what everybody's even doing on Instagram. Everybody wants to be popular.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's either taking a picture or doing something that's making them popular, or...
Well, popularity equals...
Or there's a lot of vanity. Right.
Yeah. Well, popularity.
Even if I take a selfie, because sometimes I take a selfie because I just don't have any content. So I'm like, fuck, let me just take a selfie and make a fucking comment or a quote.
One thing.
And it's like when I see it all though, I'm just like, wow, man, there's a lot of fucking narcissism. Like,
well, I wanna acknowledge what you're saying here. You do a lot of those selfies, but they almost kind of verify like the hard work that you put in music and in your appearance, and I from time to time it'll hit my feed, but I like these bad bitches, so they coming up bad bitches all the time. so like with an Iggy Azalea or Nicki Minaj or anything like that, popularity equals attention equals influence equals money, right? Marketing dollars. So, I mean, a lot of it is fabricated because you can, like we were talking before, you can buy likes, you can buy followers, you can buy, botted accounts.
Well, like I said, Nicki Minaj has 90 million followers.
Mm-hmm.
90 million. But if her record only sold 135,000 compared to 90 million, that is seeing this, man, you need 90 million just to do that. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you don't, because there's artists out here doing less than that. Way less. Shit, ours is way less. But you see what I'm saying? And she's on a label. She's big time. Do you see what I'm saying? So the industry has sold people the facade of fame.
caught what you did right there.
What's that? What did I
Big
do?
time. She's big time. Big timers. Slim and baby.
She's big time. Like she's not no Rudy Poo artist.
Mm-hmm.
She's had hits. She's as big as she's gonna be. She's hit the plateau. But if you have 90 million followers, and I'm not saying this as a bad thing, because 135,000 is still fucking good. But I'm just saying, when you really look at it and you're like, wouldn't it look cooler if she had 200,000 followers and she did 135? See what I'm saying? Wouldn't it now seem a little more like the margin is like, okay, that makes sense?
Millions in the ceiling, you know? Millions.
Yeah, everybody saw him this millions thing. When you really think about it, you're like, millions? For real?
Mm-hmm.
Millions?
Mm-hmm.
Millions of people? But she only sold 135,000
Mm-hmm.
out of 90 million? Even if she just had a million and she hit 135, that would seem more. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But 90?
And they're trying to
If she had 10 million and did 135,000, you'd be like, But 90 million?
They're trying to push the album through, like, Safari and her arguing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No one's talking about the music. They're talking about all the antics.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, so again, I woke up this morning and Aretha Franklin passed, man. I'm listening to the songs and everything, reminiscing. And man, if you listen to a Aretha Franklin record, man, you're gonna cry.
Mm-hmm.
Not because she's dead. She always had that effect on you. Like if you listen to her record, she just, man, the way her voice was, the way she knew how to do that shit, just boom, just knew how to touch your emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But that was different. She was singing from, her heart. She was singing from the diaphragm. Artists today are singing from their PayPal account. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, seriously, like, when I hear the Post Malones or whoever, all these dudes, I don't hear any pain in their records. Even if they're talking about, yeah, I was struggling, shut the fuck up. I don't even hear it in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear the pain. I don't hear the struggle. You're just saying something.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference, I think, that people are desensitized to because they don't even remember when artists did that.
I think that's true, but you can also hear when someone's lying through their teeth, And I think a lot of these artists...
Oh, a lot of them are lying. I mean, it's just fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's rich.
Mm-hmm.
It's like these ads I see where everyone's like, hey, you want to make money? You can start your own business. But let's be real here. If everybody did it, then who's going to... where are the other people going to be?
Mm-hmm.
If everybody's selling something, then, I mean, no one's really buying.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just this... I don't know, man. It's just going to get worse before it gets better. But at the same time, I think maybe it'll force hip-hop to go back to its roots.
Mm-hmm.
Because we used to be anti-government, anti-establishment, going against, telling the truth about what's going on out here. Now it's ignoring it, and let's pop bottles while they're killing us in the street.
Mm-hmm.
How's that reflecting to what's going on out here?
Yeah.
What happened to that in music? Like, you go back as far as even the 40s. Listen to what all they're talking about. Listen to Nina Simone when they're all talking about strange fruit hanging from the trees, and you just, some people didn't even stop thinking about what she's actually singing about.
Right.
Like, what happened to that? What happened to people when they were singing songs, and then when you're like, oh, they're singing a song about this, what are they really talking about? See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's just, I don't know, man. And I love hip hop, man, but lately, I'm not gonna lie, especially the last 3 maybe years, I've just been really burnt out on it. This year alone, I don't even care to hear any of it. Because I'm not hearing anything that's just new. It's totally now corporate, and it's all like Tretch would say, if you watch their videos and turn the volume down, it looks like one long video.
Hmm.
It looks like one long music video. You can't tell when the next one started, when the next one stopped. You know, it's no longer there's the shock that, like, even with me, I haven't even been making music videos in the last year or two just because, for what? You know what I mean? We already know that this is staged and there's no creative, you know what I mean? Before I make another music video, I feel like I'd rather make a movie.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because I've done so many of them. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's cool, music videos, huh? I'd rather make a movie. And some of the budgets these guys are spending on videos still today, like you could have shot a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but once I saw Tekashi 6ix9ine eating the fucking cupcake or licking the whatever he was doing,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't, man. I'm even convinced that somehow they convinced him to do his hair like that to match this whole rainbow agenda. Because I know when you first saw him, that had to be what you were thinking.
That he was a fag.
It had to be, because that's the first thing I thought. Like,
Not for me.
oh,
I mean,
is he the first gay
but
rapper?
I'm-
He's got a
but
rainbow
I'm,
hair.
No, I don't. I don't think that. And the only reason why is because I live that in between. You know, I'm a young guy, but I do a lot of I speak to a lot of elders and whatever. But I'm the type of consumer that likes to watch video games. You know, has anime influences. You talked about you like grew up
Yeah.
with Star Wars and comics and horror industry. It is what he's doing is a product of this Asian influence, you know, the commercialization of America being bought out by China. It's a lot of things, you know. I don't really think it has anything to do with sex, man.
No, I'm just saying when I first seen him with the rainbow hair,
Yeah. Well, that's me. Yeah, yeah.
and he was coming out during this rainbow movement. It was like, okay. And then when I seen him eating the ice cream cone or
I see
licking the
what you're
ice
saying.
cream cone or whatever, I'm like, okay.
This
And then you saw that
worked.
one rapper that had the dress on, the wedding dress, sucking on the fucking M16, all the gay rapper
Yeah.
doing that shit. Now they like to call themselves weirdos. No, you're just gay.
Yeah.
Just say you're gay. You're not a weirdo. You're just gay. And then you have these. It's just the shit is like, which is okay. You know, hey, whatever. But I'm just saying, I just see it different because I know this is being pushed from the industry.
Yeah.
So before they picked rainbow hair dude, they passed over super talented dude over here, this girl over here, this person to put that out.
Well, he's not.
Do you get what I'm saying?
While he says a lot of things that sound threatening, he's non-threatening in the fact that he's, you know, they started with Riff Raff. After Riff Raff, they put in Stitches, and now
Yeah, well, Riff Raff is basically the prototype to Tekashi.
Yeah.
To me.
Mhm.
They're almost like the same thing. Like when I first heard Riff Raff, I was like, okay, this is a joke.
Yeah, but he's actually serious.
But he's serious, but he also is joking.
Mhm.
And but I looked at it like, okay, I get it. And he's just gonna be this. He's like a Flavor Flav, basically.
Mhm.
He's trying to be this character,
Mm.
which it works. So, to me, Tekashi 6ix9ine is really jacking his swag, which both of them are jacking Lady Gaga to me. Like,
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean? So,
But then there are these offshoots, you know, like a Little Dicky or a Little Windex, who are
yeah,
actually
Lil
joking.
Dicky, his thing is like, I'm joking, but I'm coming off hella nerdy.
Yeah, he's
But he can
joking
rap.
because he's
Yeah.
joking about the scene, you know.
Yeah,
He's joking like Little Dicky is not really a little, you know, he's not a little, you know what I mean?
yeah,
He's joking about like the epidemic of littles.
yeah.
And then there's also like Little Windex, which is the Canadian rapper that looks like he put a mop on top of his head.
Yeah, as soon as I saw his name, Lil Windex, I really couldn't. I just didn't. You know what I mean? But like I said, I've just been through these different eras, and so I'm just not really that impressed. I think the last person I was impressed by rap-wise
Mm-hmm.
was fuck, I done forgot his name that fast. The dude, it was Joyner Lucas.
You think that he was in like he's not really. Joyner Lucas is hip hop.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But the last person I was impressed by as an artist was
Okay.
him because
Yeah.
he was super talented, and the way he did his music videos and everything, that was hella fucking creative.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, see, now that is dope.
He got kicked out of the system though.
Exactly. He's dope because he tried to go against Logic, right?
Well, he was being backed by the guys out of South Florida and the guys out of Southern California, but then he wanted to do it too different and not enough like Denzel Curry.
He didn't want to be the go along, get along.
Mm-hmm.
He started doing songs that were kind of like, okay, you trying to wake people up. We don't need you doing that. We need you back on this dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. So
What
there's
about
that.
what
And
about
so
the
when you look at
emo
most
side?
rappers today that are hella popular, besides my song and them,
Mm-hmm.
like they're the go along, get along.
What about the emo side of hip hop, like the Little Peeps or the oh my god, the guy who wrote for Drake?
Um,
Those type of artists, the
I started
weekends.
hearing about a lot of those artists because we did a dubstep remix
Yeah.
record with DJ Exceed, and that's what got me into Canada actually.
Mm.
And during that run, I was doing that EDM stuff, and I was hitting up that market.
Yeah.
But again, it started to be where, oh, what you're doing, that's dope. So we need to get some white rappers doing that. You know what I'm saying? And then I just watched it as it became kind of like that. Like, okay, they're gonna, because they, I think they feel like that's their lane. You know what I mean? So they're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, we're gonna do this. We don't need you doing it. And it's like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Um, but again, I know you always ask me about a lot of records. Have I listened? I really haven't. You know what I mean?
Well,
I
I'm
listened
I'm
to
really
the
asking you.
Pusha T, and I listened to.
I'm really asking.
I didn't even listen to Pusha T's whole album. I just listened to that one song he had, dissing Drake.
I'm really asking you because I want to see what sounds you're hearing, you know, and what can be expected in new releases or like what you are listening to, whether
I
it's
really
like.
think right now they're doing like short. They're just guessing. They don't even
Mhm.
know. It's at a level right now where it's like, again, you have all these great hip hop uh, artists that have been pushed to the background. But if you bring them forward and let them do a record and really hear it, you'll be like, yo, why are we not? Well, we don't want you to listen to this because we have an agenda.
Have you heard what Taylor Swift's doing?
No,
So,
she's not rapping, is she?
well, she did that a little bit on this last album, but
Oh
what
God.
what what's different and why I bring this up is she's at that level where everything, society, the whole world is completely alien to her. You know what I mean? What she's doing is, moving, doing her best, I would imagine, to go and do normal things. So, like, if you're listening in a car, she's trying to produce music that has the feeling of driving a car. You know, it sounds so dumb to talk about it this way, but that's what music needs to be. There needs to be a feeling.
Well, what I was gonna say before is, where's all the artists representing the guy that catches the bus?
Right.
Because everybody's rich.
Yeah.
Everybody's rich. Everybody's got a bag. Everybody's making a stack. Everybody, but that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the guy? Where's the people representing the guy or the girl that catches the bus to work every morning? Because they
Mm-hmm.
got real bills to pay. They've had real life experiences happen to them where they've been really shut out and shut down, and they're trying to come back, but they keep getting knocked down. And where's that?
Mm-hmm.
Where, you know what I'm saying? Where's the guy that's just met a girl that he's just really happily in love with her? He doesn't need all the bad bitches. He doesn't need the foreign bitch. He doesn't need the fucking, you know what I'm saying? It's just like this. And so what I see the industry doing is they're skipping over those artists that are representing that.
Nashville doesn't want to hear
And
that.
they're pushing these because they're trying to sell products.
What you just talked about.
I think people want to hear it. I think people want to hear it, but you're not even giving. It's like walking in Baskin Robbins and you never knew what chocolate tastes like.
Yep.
And they're pushing everything else, and you go, but what? Why did y'all keep the chocolate in the back freezer and not bring it out? Like, let us taste that. That's really what we want.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll deal with all these too, but what we really want is that double chocolate fudge almond mocha back there. But you won't even. You're trying to shut that out for a reason.
But they want
because because when we buy vanilla ice cream and Tropicana and all this whatever, that coconut blah blah blah, and I'm not just trying to name white ice creams, but they just keep coming to mind. All these other ice creams, right?
Mocha,
strawberry sherbet, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah.
Everything but the double chocolate fudge almond mocha, right? Because when you buy all these other ones, it makes you want to go buy a BMW. You want to go spend money. You want to go on trips, and they've somehow done this, these statistics to find that out. If we do this, y'all won't buy as much because y'all will be content with what you have. If we really push love songs, people will be content with what they have. You won't want more. You won't feel like, oh, I got to go buy that new car. Because the real love song is going to make me just appreciate what I have. So now I'm not consuming as much. But if I push this consumer song that I got to have this in order to feel good, the girls are hearing songs about big butts and songs. That's why they're out here getting ass shots. Because society is showing, like, if you have a big ass, you get to go to Dubai and you can have a fun time and you have a better life. More people like you. So now you're taking these risks. The makeup industry, car industries, drug industries, all of them are all invested into, hey man, you need more songs about this. Like, how can we have a thing about drugs, but most of the songs you hear on the radio, they're just blatantly talking about it. And then you get mad or you start doing the RIPs when someone overdoses. The shit is silly. It's like, it's fucking silly. You know what I mean? So I just think, again, hip-hop needs to go back underground to where we controlled it a little more than it just being this corporate thing, but it's been handed over to them. They've grabbed it and they've remixed the shit and then handed it back to you, and it's based off of, your own social downfalls. And you're partying to it. It's like you're partying to your own demise. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, the shit is like, so when people say, well, when is it going to change or whatever? Well, when they stop doing that kind of bullshit and bring out the real shit. Like, there was a show I did one time, and I break out the piano and I'm singing Dreams of Memory, doing the sad song. They're like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, why not? I like sad songs. I like when Elton John would do songs like that. I like when Aretha Franklin did songs like that, or people did it, because everyone's not always crunk and happy all the time. There are people that are at the show right now that are sad and just need a good cry inside.
How do you have so much musicality? It's crazy, man. It's crazy that you can talk about any genre of music. You have that, and maybe because of Austin, but it's
well, I've been around the world. You gotta remember, I lived around the world, so I've seen different cultures. I've seen different things, and I've seen different tastes in music, and allowed myself to experience them. Like, I'm not gonna bump any country music. Yeah, but I have one. I have like a country rapish song. Haven't released it yet, but I have it, and that's not just something I'm saying. Like, I have friends that come over, like, you've been seeing me on the guitar with the acoustic. Like, I'm learning it so that I can perform the song one day. And everyone that's heard the song is like, yo, that shit is fucking dope. It's already recorded, but now I have to be able to do it live on stage, and I have to practice it to a point that I can do it. I was wanting to do it at this show, but it would just be too much. But again, my point about it is, I've allowed myself to consume music. Like, when I was first here in Texas, most people I came across only listened to DJ Screw. And if you tried to play any other genre of hip-hop, they didn't want to hear it. any other genre of music. They didn't want to hear it. They just wanted to hear DJ Screw. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so those same people today, I feel like they missed out on having music taste. So when they try to tell me about music, I just look at them funny. I'm like, you were in the DJ Screw for the longest. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, you didn't give yourself enough time to taste test all this other music because you were so one-sided that you're just now waking up to different ideas and sounds. But you can't have that conversation with me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You're not going to convince me you know what you're talking about. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like what I was saying is I don't bump any country music, but I know the difference between good country music and bad country music.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even really around the house every day blasting heavy metal,
Mm-hmm.
but I know the difference.
Mm.
What I'm doing is I'm just doing me. I'm doing it so much, and I know it sounds narcissistic in itself, but I don't really listen to a whole lot of other stuff because I'm so busy creating my own sound, my own thing that I just don't really have time for it. It's like I don't get inspired. I don't get inspired by those things. I get inspired very few and far. You know what I get inspired by mostly is real life shit. The lady that almost got hit by the car, or some shit, or the triumphant, person that overcame this guy that just got released out of prison because he was locked up 20 years and he was innocent. Like, I'm just like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
Why do you think that we have Puerto Rican music that comes out is very Americanized? However, the like Hawaiian music that we hear is way different.
I really couldn't speak on it because I haven't even listened to it really.
Okay.
But again, I'm pretty sure it's because there's some dude somewhere in a record label that's deciding that.
Said no Hawaiian music, no.
Yeah.
But Puerto Rican music, yep, can have.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's in the power position to do. When I met most of the people in the industry that make these decisions, they're not even actually of the culture at all. They know nothing about it. It's just based off of what they think, what they feel. That's why the Puff Daddies and people like that were able to win, because he was part of the culture, so he knew what was going to hit and what wasn't. So when everybody else is like, that Puff Daddy, how is he doing it? Well, he's part of the culture. That's why.
This culture.
He lives it. You don't live it. You're going to go home with your wife and your kids, and you're going to do boring shit.
Mm-hmm.
You're not out here like that. You're not out here to know what's really hip and what's not and what's, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, look at back in the 80s, or not the 80s, I went back too far, 90s. Look at the way everyone was dressed. Look at the clothes. Look at the entrepreneurship back then. Now look at it now. Where'd it go?
Yeah.
We're all now, we're claiming hip-hop, but we're wearing European clothes and fashion. We're letting European fashion dictate hip-hop. Mm-hmm. What did I say the other day? I said I saw those dudes that were sitting in the street looking homeless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was his name? Lil what?
Lil Pump.
Lil Pump and Malone, right?
Post Malone?
Yeah. There was a picture of them. They're sitting down. They're just like looking like straight fucking bums.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, this is crazy because they're making money. They're probably some of the highest paid rappers in the game right now, making all that money but looking like bums.
Yeah.
While we're out here, everyone else is out here trying to dip in $800 Versace shirts and shit just to look like they're the man. While this dude over here, they don't even give a fuck. Look how he's dressed. He's dressed like a bum. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's not even hip-hop fashion. That's like some other shit they're trying to create.
Right.
That's some other shit they're trying to create. You know, how many rappers do you see just pushing their own merchandise, their own brands anymore? Like, really, Rockaware was the last time you really seen some shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where did all that go?
Oh, the acclamation of what Kanye's doing.
Well, yeah, they got bought out and shelved so that they could push that shit they're trying to push.
Anyway, so let's get back to the show that's on August 24th.
August
Friday night.
24th, Friday, August 24th, at Come and Take It Live, all ages.
Door price?
Door is $10.
Online?
And we went back and forth about it being 10 or 20, but the real consensus of people in Austin is they're broke. So $10 just to make it cool. Plus we knew school, school's starting back. Parents have already spent money on that. $10.
Advance tickets?
It's still $10.
$10.
Yeah, so we just now, they're just now putting up a new link because we kind of switched up the promotion because, like I said, George wasn't really promoting himself. So we were gonna leave the Dirtywormz as a surprise, and I just had to make a promoting call, like, hey, I'm gonna have to promote Dirtywormz to get ticket sales. Going back and get some excitement back because you're not even promoting yourself, so I'm gonna go ahead and promote that.
Yeah.
I'm bringing Dirtywormz, you know what I mean? And then it kind of resurging the thing up again. So we'll see. It should be a good turnout, good show. We haven't done that in 5 years, so I know people feel like we haven't done it in 15, but it's only been 5 years. As right after my mom passed, 2013. Our last show as the full group was that year, I think, like in October, and we haven't really performed as the full group, all the members. You always usually see me, Crash, and Swift still doing it, and we still carry the Dirtywormz name, but you haven't seen it with the guitar player and the bass player and Doc. So that's what people will be seeing right now, bringing that back. So I know a lot of fans are excited about that. I'm excited about it. It's cool. It's been 5 years since we've done it. So, and what really feels good about it too is just the responses and the inboxes and messages I'm getting from people that are like, they thought they'd never see that again, and how much, like I said, we've been doing this so long. It's like that we can just come back and announce that 2 weeks before it happens, and getting the response it's getting. And we've always been the type of group to put on our own shows, our own thing, and so that feels good. And George, I just hope he comes with it because I'm gonna bring it to his ass, boy. And just on some, like I said, it's no beef or nothing. It's just hip hop. It's like, call me out like that, we're gonna have to battle.
Yep.
I think I said to him, I challenge you to a duel. And I think that's very hip-hop. That's bringing that element back of like, we ain't going to fight about it. I'm not going to make diss records at you. Let's take it back to the old school. Bring that shit to the stage. Let's see you get down and do it live. Let's see really how thorough you are. Let's put a microscope on this. Can you really spit live? Can you really get down?
Yep.
Let's hear your music loud. Now, usually you could take a whack record and put that motherfucker up loud, and motherfuckers might be into it, because it's a little louder. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that his whack, I'm just saying in general. Like, whenever I used to think of when I'm recording, I would be listening to the record and I would turn to my friend Ike and I would say, now imagine this record loud as fuck.
Yep.
And he would be like, man, that's gonna kill him. You know what I mean? And I say, exactly. So that's how we would judge a lot of those records. So that's why I tell artists, I'm like, all right, listen to that record. Now imagine that record being played loud as fuck. And some of those records would have too much going on. I said, now you hear how you got too much shit going on in there? Take some of that shit out because less is better. No, man, I want all that. I'm trying to tell you, less is better. It needs to sound clean. Like, you got to know when too much, if something is too much in there. You know what I mean? So we'll see, but like you were saying, there's a little stretch, but he's the underdog. I always root for the underdog. Of course, the way I'm looking at the battle is, I think if I were him, I'd be crazy to go against me, but that's just how I feel, so I might be kind of biased.
Yeah.
That was actually like a little joke too. I don't take myself that serious, but you know, I felt like I had to defend my brand because you can't just come out and say shit like that. Because if I let that fly, you see how already the Austin scene kind of is. Like, people make claims. I'm the best. We're the best. Nobody's better than us. And I'm not even claiming to be that or nothing. The people gave me that. All I'm saying is, oh, you're saying you dusted me or you were better than me? Well, then let's battle. Let's let the people see it. And at this show, it's not even a matter of judges being out there going, okay, I think so-and-so won. I think, because like I've said before, I've seen boxing matches, and Mayweather McGregor comes to mind all the time. And if you ask most people, you won't really get a one-sided answer.
Nope.
They'll all tell you, no, I think McGregor did.
Yep.
When clearly he got his ass whooped. Like, clearly he was getting his ass whooped through the whole thing.
Yep.
It's like, what fight were you watching? So what I realize is people really don't, people are still going to want to believe what they want to believe. So go ahead and believe what you want to believe. But the real person that likes the truth, or the person that just wants to see a good performance, they'll be able to look at it and go, okay, George, but Smack came in. Yes, I think Smack got that one. Or there might be some people going, man, I think George got it, man, because, you know, they're rooting for him. So you won too. No one, there's no loser really. I'm just trying to bring back that element of the battle, of like, let's battle it out on stage.
Yep.
And let the people decide. And that's it. And it's just good entertainment. I don't wish any ill will on them or nothing. I did clown the fuck out of them, but that's who I am. Like, people that know me know I'll clown your ass. Like, you know what I mean? But I didn't bring anyone into it unnecessarily. I didn't do all that extra shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was just at him, and just jokingly, and just entertainment that built it up for what it was, but then it kind of lost its steam somewhere. I think just because he wasn't really promoting himself. That's the consensus I've been getting back, is he hasn't been promoting himself, so it makes people feel like, well, I'm not even that interested, because it already looks like a one-sided fight, because he's going to go against you, okay, he's going to lose, okay, he's the underdog. But the fact that he's just not promoting himself as just an artist, period. Like, take away the battle. He's not even promoting himself as an artist on a regular.
Right.
So it makes it like there's nothing there. There's no interest. So hopefully, I don't know, he'll start to promote, but that might be part of his scheme, even though I don't think it's a good one. But shit, if he comes in there with the Red Hot Chili Peppers trying to blow me out the water, man, kudos to him, man. Shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he might show up doing some shit like that. I don't know, but know this. I'm going to go hard, because I've been in this game more than 20 years. We've been doing this. We built this brand, blood, sweat, and tears, and we're going to have fun. But I'm also very serious about the shit, to where, you know, hey, I got to defend it, and I feel honored to come in and defend it. And then to just, like he said in his own words, he wanted me to reach in my bag to pull out my best show or whatever. And I'm just like, so when I do reach in my bag, and, you know, I'm going to pull out the Dirtywormz out of my bag, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, but I hope I hope he has a good performance. I hope he brings his best, but I'm still knocking him the fuck out.
Yeah.
I know that. And if he knocks me out, then shit. I mean, hey, I doubt it, but you never know. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to assume, like, I just got it locked in. But what I am going to lock in is what the fuck I'm going to do.
Right.
And I know that I have a catalog of music. I can't say I've heard a catalog of music from him to feel like whatever, but shit. If this would have been it, I remember when Master P blew up, and I remember Master P handed me a fucking tape at UC Davis in California, and if you would have ever told me that dude 2 years later would have been one of the biggest rappers in the world, dude, I would have bet my life on it, and I would have died. You know what I mean? I would have been like, that whack mother, shit, there's no way in hell somebody's going to give him $30 million.
Right.
And boom. I was like, what? Ate my words, dude. I was like, what? And that's when I learned that. That's when I learned that in the industry. Like, when them tables turn, boy, some motherfuckers, like, it could turn around on your ass. And the person you think is hella whack would be on top like a motherfucker. And we see that going on today. You know, I never thought Master P was a solid rapper. I thought he was very sloppy. You know, great businessman. But I thought as far as rap skill, come on. I mean, if you ask the average person, no one really probably thought Master P was just a superb rapper. It always sounded like he was struggling. But when them hooks and them beats kicked in, I mean, it's what it was. But it was also his marketing. I think that's what really did it, was the marketing that they were bringing. You know, he changed the game with that. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about the battle, or I don't really know. I mean, it could be anybody going against us. I would say the same thing.
Well, I look forward to it.
And I am gonna break the show down to where I do a set, and then I bring out the worms. That way, you know, because if I did it straight from the top, everybody go, oh, you kind of cheated because you just came straight out doing that. But I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna come out, do my thing, and then in the middle of the show, I'm gonna bring them out. So.
Yeah, it sounds
and
like
then we're gonna fucking kill it. So
it sounds like it's gonna be an amazing show. I look forward to seeing how it goes. That's gonna be a Come and Take It live on August 24th, Friday.
Next Friday.
Doors open at 8. What time doors open?
Doors open at 8. Show starts at 9.
Show starts at 9.
And also, Tone Brigante, he's supposed to be opening up.
He's gonna open up.
Yeah, he's gonna be one of the openers.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we wanted a lot of kind of the stuff to just be a surprise, like, you know, people show up and don't expect certain things. But I'll throw that out there.
Dope.
But yeah, man.
Awesome. Is there any new releases? Any new singles going to be released?
Not no time soon. I was supposed to release a solo single, which I still might do, but I'm letting all this get past because it's like it's too much. You know what I mean?
This is done.
Yeah. I wanted to concentrate on this now, and then I gotta concentrate on the post-afterness of it all too. And then, so maybe September, late September, I'll release a single.
Where can people find you on social media, your music?
Social media, on my Instagram, you can find me at Dirtywormz. That's with a Z. That's pretty much all of them. Facebook, Dirtywormz. Or you can find me at Smackola of Dirtywormz. But yeah, just go to Dirtywormz. Dirtywormz.net, our website. You can order t-shirts, merchandise. We'll have merchandise at the shows, and it'd be a good thing, man. Bring everybody out. It's all ages. So I know a lot of kids don't get to go to concerts, and that's why we do some of those.
Awesome. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
We talked about a lot of things. I think we covered everything. I don't think we missed out on anything.
Probably not. Well, we probably did, but
there's a couple
we can't
things
cover everything.
Maybe. I'm sure it'll come to mind after we wrap up the show. But I appreciate you coming on. I look forward to having you on again for whenever you get another release or what's going on or any type of promos that you got coming on. I'd definitely like to be and get the exclusive on those.
For sure.
And I look forward to seeing the show and what's going on.
See you there.
All right, appreciate you.
All right, man.
Take it easy. All right, y'all. That was a great episode of Live from the ATX Season 2 episode. Oh my gosh. I keep on forgetting what episode it is. Episode 13. And that was Smackola of the Dirtywormz, the episode part 2, where we kind of covered all the stuff that we we lost on the last episode of this. On the outro here, I'm going to play another song by the Dirtywormz. 2 of their favorite selected SoundCloud plays. Yeah. And see you guys August 24th. Doors open a bit, 8 o'clock. $10 ticket prices at Come and Take It Live. It's going to be the full cast and crew of the Dirtywormz. And I hope you guys have an amazing time. We'll be back live again on all the channels for the double feature that we're having today with Be The One later on tonight. All right, peace.
soak that ass, stick it in your fucking sweater. Boy, you better get ready, here come the dirty weather. Boy, you better get ready, here come the dirty weather. Boy, you better get ready, here come the dirty weather. Super soak that ass, stick it in your fucking sweater. Get ready, cause here we come now. It's the world's most dangerous sounds, invading your grounds, and we back to shut this bitch down. Tear it all down, it's way foul. Who wanna fuck with us now? I got an attitude to match my style. In the South, I'm a poster child for rappers gone wild. I take them out, chop them up, and leave them amputated. Fuck around with the worm and get evaporated. So come and clash with the Titans, smash with the Vikings. I'm raw. If you ain't coming hard, don't come at all, cause it's that real deal, real shit. The type of lyrics that motherfuckers get killed with. I'm real sick, I'm a lunatic, bringing out nothing but pure evil. When this beat get the clapping like a 44 Desert Eagle, I'm a live wire. It's that dirty worm barn rider, creeping through the night like a now kind of sand spider. What? Boy, you better get ready, here come the dirty weather. Boy, you better get ready, here come the dirty weather. Boy, you better get ready, here come the dirty weather. Super soak that ass, stick it in your fucking sweater. Boy, you better get ready, here come the dirty weather. Boy, you better get ready, here come the dirty weather. Boy, you better get ready, here come the dirty weather. Super soak that ass, stick it in your fucking sweater. Well, now I'm back in the battleground, back in the zone to cut them hounds. Running up with both guns drawn. Soon as I put these gloves on, you already know that it's on. I'm on a double when the shovel hit the back of your dome. You can tell by my tone, type of shit that I'm on, that I'm still putting it down. Representing the home of the Longhorns, burnt orange, ATX. And if you plexing, then I suggest you invest in more protection, cause we taking out your whole section, every direction, and let the shells start ejecting at the next election. Hey, Mr. President, it's everything that you've been lying to us ever since, and I'm convinced that you meant for the world to sit back and take witness while you handle up on your daddy's unfinished business. This is the realest shit you heard, so whatever you do, just let your next move